This podcast contains descriptions of violence against children and adult language and is not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, and welcome to Groomed to Die, the Kendzia Children, the first ever Suffer the Little Children podcast miniseries. I'm your host, Lane, and this is part 7, The Recordings. I've spent weeks telling you about the countless alleged crimes committed by Susan Lee, formerly known as Susan Stevenson, Susan Cook, and Susan Kendzia. I've told you about her charges for the murders of her 2 adopted infant sons, Michael and Kevin, and her subsequent trial, the chronic, inexplicable illnesses suffered by Susan's daughter, Shain, throughout her first 28 years, and Susan's alleged abuse of her own children, her stepsons, the children she babysat, and the 3rd infant she was, incredibly, allowed to adopt after the first 2 died under suspicious circumstances. In the final part of this miniseries, you'll hear from Susan herself. In early 2022, thinking Susan was near death, her daughters began recording their conversations with her in case she decided to confess to her crimes while on her deathbed. As it slowly became clear that Susan wasn't dying, and her daughters began to suspect that her poor health and dementia were a ruse, they continued to record her ever-changing stories and surprising admissions. This is part 7, The Recordings. I'd like to take a moment to thank my newest patrons. Jamie Y. from South Penrith, Australia, Angela F. from Eagle Mountain, Utah, Larissa W. from Blaxland, Australia, JT from Trabuco Canyon, California, Mandy D. from Upper Coomera, Australia, Deborah D. from Madera, California, Naomi G. from Rockwall, Texas, Raven M. from Battle Creek, Michigan, and Ari from The Land Before Time. Thank you all so much for your support, which helps give me the ability to work from home and therefore keeps this podcast going. To make a pledge, you can visit patreon.com/stlcpod. You can also make a one-time contribution at ko-fi.com/stlcpod. As I mentioned in the last episode, sisters Christy and Shain reunited when they believed that their mother, Susan, was not long for this earth. In February of 2022, immediately after their reunion, Shain and Christy began recording their conversations with Susan, both for their protection and also hoping to get answers for their questions and maybe capture a deathbed confession or 2. Before long, however, it became clear that Susan was not, in fact, near death. Christy and Shain also began to suspect that Susan's dementia was either an act or self-induced by medication, or possibly a combination of both. For the record, South Carolina is a one-party consent state, meaning a conversation can legally be recorded with the consent of just one of the parties. This episode, which contains clips from multiple audio recordings, has taken a massive amount of work to put together. I went through hours upon hours of audio and chose the clips that had the most impact on me after being immersed in this case for months. The clips I selected have been taken from much longer conversations, and I edited them only for time, to optimize the sound, and to bleep the occasional name to protect the innocent. I have not affected or otherwise influenced the context of any of the statements made by Susan or anyone else, and I'm playing these clips for you in as close to chronological order as possible so you can hear for yourself how Susan's revelations unfolded. Some of the recordings might be a little hard to understand, especially the early ones in which Susan was heavily medicated, but I did my very best to clean up the audio as much as possible. Before we get started, I have to thank Shain and Christy from the bottom of my heart for giving me access to these recordings and permission to share them with you. Some of the conversations they recorded are deeply personal and emotionally raw. Their lives have basically been flayed open for the public to see, and it means more to me than I can express that they've entrusted me with telling their story. I'm honored to give these incredibly brave women a platform and the opportunity for their voices to be heard. I know most of my listeners already act this way automatically, which is one of the things I love and appreciate so much about all of you, but a gentle reminder can't hurt. Please treat this family with respect. As we go, I'll introduce each clip to give context wherever necessary. The first clip is from the first recording the sisters took shortly after Susan had returned from a stay in a respite care facility to the house she shared with Christy and her family. Christy is the first one to speak.
I'm really confused because everything that everybody has told me since January 17th was, you were dying. We were literally waiting for you to die. There were days that I thought you wouldn't wake up the next morning. I mean, if I'm just being real, I really don't know how you're alive right now. So you're talking about long-term thing, okay?
And you're talking about short-term.
You're talking about stuff, that we can plan and do, and we're just not at a point like that where we can make those plans because there isn't time anymore.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't even be here had it not been the severity that I was told. The mother that you were to the small child who thought you were Superman died years ago to me. I don't know how I feel about the situation that you're in right now. Because how is one supposed to feel after all that has happened? And it took me getting off the phone and realizing how good of a position I was in now in my life. And I question, well, does she even want to see me before she dies? Yeah. And Christy couldn't answer that. But
I didn't want to lie to you.
And you know what? I made the decision without saying anything to anybody. I packed my car and I came to South Carolina and I tried to call Christy when I got here.
I was on the phone with Jamie, by the way.
But the only reason why I came down here was to get what little bit of closure I could from you. Because the closure that I want is for you to admit everything and be completely honest with me about everything. But the closure that I got instead was the look on your face when you realized I was still alive and I was healthy and I was okay. That's the closure I got because I won. I finally won. I finally got to show you.
Once you got the better of me.
No, not that I got the better of you. I got to show you that I survived you.
I'm asking. I don't know.
Okay, well.
I got to show you that I survived. That I was the one that was strong enough to survive.
Yes.
And I needed you to see how much pain it caused me to forgive somebody that is incapable of being sorry for the things that she has done. But like Chrissy has said, forgiveness is not for you. Forgiveness is for us. And it took a long time to realize that. Had I not forgiven you, I'd be dead. Because just like Levi, I wouldn't have got over my drug addiction.
What happened to Levi?
Well, I'll tell you what happened whenever I told you that he died. You laughed and said, well, glad that's over. Meanwhile, I spent 2 weeks crying to the point where I didn't think I was going to be able to survive. And you seemed
Levi choked on his own vomit because he had fentanyl and meth in his system. Because just like me, Levi battled with drug addiction all his life, coping with the things that he knew. Levi couldn't cope with a lot of things. You know, you humiliated him. Do you remember when he was in the 6th grade and he got into a fight with a kid and it was a gym? He used to get picked on all the time. Of course he got picked on all the time. He was redheaded and freckle-faced. You know, kids are mean. You know, that he got in trouble for getting in a fight at school. And for the rest of that school year, you made him wear Velcro shoes that you bought from Walmart a pair of stonewashed indigo blue jeans and a black t-shirt. That's all that child was allowed to wear to school, and he had to wear it every single day.
Sorry. And I mean that I am sorry. I'm not saying...
You made him pick dog shit up out of the backyard, barehanded, on his hands and knees. Every day Levi would come home from school, regardless if he did anything wrong or not. Levi got his ass beat.
How we were told to lie to DSS about how he got his black eye.
Levi went to school with a black eye because John beat the shit out of him.
How did he get a black eye?
Yeah, how did John do that?
Your husband threw him into a wall and punched him in the face. His same husband that threw a remote at me left a giant welt on my leg, and so whenever I went to tell another trusted adult and they let you know that I told them, you drug me in the house by my throat.
Just like your doctor covered for you whenever I reported it as well.
We were always told to lie about the things.
I'm sorry.
We were all drug out of class that day that Levi went to school with the black eye. And I was so proud of Levi. He told the truth.
Here, Shain confronted Susan about the incident in which she forced little Aaron McKee to take the blame for beating another little boy at her in-home daycare.
You do know that day, you remember...
Yeah.
You remember his last day at your daycare, right? You do remember I was home that day. You do remember I watched what you did to that baby.
I didn't do anything to him.
I watched, Susan.
You watched me what? I mean...
I watched you beat the shit out of for peeing during nap time. And then I watched you sit Aaron McKee down at the counter in the kitchen and promise that baby the world. And the whole time telling him how he should have never hit that baby. That we don't hit, that's not nice. That's not how we do things. And by the end of the day, when dad picked him up, you had Aaron convinced that he beat that child. And Aaron got hospitalized because of that event.
I am never going to babysit. I'm never going to come into contact with children. I don't know what else I can do.
I want you to admit that you did that.
Did what?
You hit that day with the fly swatter, the plastic end of the fly swatter, and left whelps all over him. And you blamed your best friend's son for it.
Speaking of which, can I talk to her?
I'll call her.
Okay.
If you tell me. Just be honest about that.
I'll be honest.
Just because I was 14, I was sick. I was home. Woke up from his nap. And he had had an accident during nap time. You took him in the bathroom and you beat him with the fly swatter, the plastic end. And it left whelps all over him. And when you realized it left whelps all over him, you immediately started convincing Aaron McKee that he did that. And Aaron had Asperger's.
Yeah.
And you promised Aaron all kinds of stuff that day and convinced that child to take the blame for beating.
Okay.
Do you remember that now?
Yeah. And I apologize. Not that it changes anything, but I do apologize for it. It doesn't change.
Do you know what that did to Aaron?
No.
Aaron was hospitalized. It really hurt Aaron's brain pretty bad. On top of the Asperger's that he already had.
Well, can I talk to Doris to try to get something? I mean...
Are you willing to tell Doris what happened?
I'm willing to talk to Doris, yes.
And be honest with her about her son.
Yes.
And make sure she knows that Aaron never did that. Because at the very least, she deserves to know why her son is so messed up right now.
In the past, Shain had tried to tell Aaron's mother and her daughter what had really happened that day, but they refused to listen. Only after hearing the truth again in early 2022 did Doris begin to believe that Susan was responsible. After they tried to contact Doris, Christy and Shain reconvened with Susan.
Doris is tired.
Doris to check and see if she was okay to talk, and she is actually getting ready to go to bed. She's been working a lot because her parents died, and she's been over there cleaning out the house and dealing with all that. She just wasn't up for it tonight, so we can do that tomorrow for sure.
And she doesn't hate me.
About what?
Anything, she'll talk to me.
Yeah, I believe she'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
So whatever y'all need to talk about.
She and I have been through a lot together.
You think she'll understand us?
Yes. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
You're just going to tell her how it happened.
Baby.
It's going to be a shock.
Aaron has really suffered with this. And I talked to him in one of our very first conversations. I made sure that he knew that he didn't do that. And he said to me, Shannon, I know I didn't, but Miss Susan said I had to say I did it.
Well, I was wrong again.
Why did you start another daycare after saying you would never own another daycare and you would never adopt again?
I opened another daycare so I could stay home and be with my children who were special needs.
Which of us was special needs?
ADHD, take your pick. I mean...
Right, but you didn't actually, you being at home really didn't...
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying I did the best with what I could. And if I had it to go back and do over again, no, I wouldn't. I did the best for my kids, which turned out to be a clusterfuck and a half.
Here, Christy and Shain tried to discuss with Susan their responsibilities as children, and Susan's reaction belies her supposed drug-induced days.
We were your slaves.
We had to wake up 2.5 hours before we even had to go to school because we had to have the house
that you decided you wanted to have.
Okay, Christy, I'm sorry.
No, see, I can't talk because every time I express myself, all I get is, I'm sorry, and the way you say it is, the way it's coming across is, just shut up. Because you don't want to hear what I'm going to walk away because
it's not that way.
It is that way.
It is not that way. I am honestly, genuinely sorry.
I am glad you're sorry, but it's like pissing into the wind. You're sorry. What does sorry fix?
Nothing.
And I've told you the only way that any kind of, I don't know what I'm expecting, but the only way that this could be fixed is to stop apologizing. And when confronted with something that happened, you accept responsibility for it. Okay. I don't need I'm sorry. What I need you to do is stop gaslighting and going, well, it didn't happen that way, when for a fact it did happen that way.
Right. I fully understand everything you just said.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In this clip, Christy had left the room momentarily, and Shain had started asking Susan questions about her trial. At one point, Christy overheard Susan trying to pull one over on Shain and gleefully interjected, which was incredibly satisfying to hear.
I have been through so much, and y'all have been through so much, and it's not that I'm being evasive. I just don't remember. Honest to God, do not remember.
I just figured that if I was ever going to get any answers to the questions I've had, now's the time to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's all I can tell you is I am, honest to God, sorry. If I could give you an answer that would explain it, I would. But I don't
I mean, you
know.
cut me and Levi out of family portraits. Leave my name out of your list of children. Do you really think that you can just by not naming me that I just
No.
don't exist.
John cut y'all out of it.
No, John didn't do that.
Yes, John did. You weren't there. Yes, John did. There was a lot that went on.
No, the fuck you did. I watched you do it. Ha, I'm listening.
John wouldn't do that because believe it or not, me and John made our peace. And that man, yeah, he was a hard ass.
Yeah, he was.
And he beat the shit out of me several times. He beat the shit out of all of us to an abusive level. But that man loved me, and that man took care of me, and he was the only man that ever stuck around. And you were the one with the picture thing. Anytime anybody were to upset you or not agree with you or have a different opinion than you, their pictures were removed from your house. So I know it was you.
Okay.
I'm not angry about these things anymore because I've accepted the things that you've done. I've accepted all these things. I just want you
not mad
to...
at me anymore.
I'm not mad at you.
Okay.
I'm not going to waste my time on any more feelings about this because it has consumed my life in such a miserable way that when I finally found peace, I made a promise to myself to never let you steal that from me again.
Okay.
I think that you owe it to us. You owe it to everybody involved. The truth about everything.
I cannot confess to something I did not do. I don't know why you don't understand that. If I had done that, yeah. Because, God, it would make life so much more easier.
There's a pattern of behavior. There's too much of a pattern for it to be coincidence.
The next day, Christy recorded a conversation she had alone with Susan. This conversation really illustrates how manipulative Susan is, even when heavily medicated.
I just want to be...
What do you want?
I just want to be able to look at something.
Like what?
A telephone.
I can't trust you with a phone because you tried to buy a monkey.
You heard that right. Apparently, in October of 2021, Susan did try to buy a monkey. Among Susan's paperwork, Christy found a handwritten note reading, "I am in love with a boy named George." Below that, she wrote an address and phone number, followed by, "George still takes a bottle, milk, and bananas. Infant clothes, 3 to 6 months. 11 weeks old. First installment includes the baby and delivery, and all the documents." The note indicated that she planned to pay for the monkey in 2 installments by early November. Christy discovered that her mother had gone to 7-Eleven and purchased approximately $1,000 in Amazon gift cards to pay for her new simian son. She even bought baby clothes, shoes, and blankets for it. Even after Christy explained to her that it was a scam and even showed her an article proving it, Susan still sent the scammers the gift cards. Needless to say, she never received her monkey, and after that incident, Christy took away her phone. The clip continued.
I'm not going to buy a monkey.
Right, but I'm sorry, it's not an option anymore. If you want to call somebody, I can call somebody for you. I'm not trying to keep you from talking to people.
Well, yeah, I'd like to talk to somebody.
Who do you want to talk to?
I'd like to talk to Doris.
Oh, I don't think she wants to talk to you ever again.
Why?
Because we played the recording of you admitting what you did.
Well, why don't you let me talk to her?
It's not that I'm not letting you. She said that she did not want to talk to you last night, and she has not responded since.
Well, don't you think that's my choice?
What's your choice?
To be able to talk to her.
Well, no, I think that you don't know how to respect people's boundaries. If she says she wants to talk to you, she will. If she doesn't, then you need to respect that.
Well, can I not call her and say...
I've already told her that you want to talk to her, and she's not responding. So that is an answer. That doesn't mean that she won't want to talk to you, but I'm not going to push the issue and embarrass myself.
It's all about you.
Oh, what?
It's all about you.
No, it's not. I like to respect people's boundaries. I've told her you want to talk to her, and now the ball is in her court. How is that all about me? What, you want me to call her and call her and call her?
No.
That's embarrassing. That's what I was talking about.
I don't want you to call her and call her and call her.
But your snide comment about it being all about me, and that's the reason why we will never get there. We could never get there because you do not deep down want to try.
You're right.
Huh?
You're right.
Oh, I know. I'm more right than I've ever been in my life, and it feels good. You want the fan on?
Yes, please.
Okay. Me standing up for myself doesn't make me wrong or a bad person.
I didn't say it did, Christy.
Okay, you're not smart aleck comments too, though. Okay?
I don't mean it that way.
Well, how else do you mean it?
How else can I mean? I mean, no matter what I say, I'm gonna lose. I can't win.
To my knowledge, Susan has never been diagnosed with a personality disorder, but I feel it's necessary and pertinent to mention that for a narcissist, everything is about winning. Every interaction is a conflict or a contest, so everything boils down to winning or losing, and a narcissist cannot stand to lose. As the conversation continued, Susan seemed not to understand why a glib apology didn't fix all of the damage she'd caused.
I said I'm sorry.
But sorry doesn't make it go away, right?
Right.
Do you think sorry erases 43 years of abuse? I'm not talking about physical, although there were times, but I'm talking about the mental and emotional torture you have put me through for 43 years. Admitting last night that you did it, you alienated me and manipulated me so you wouldn't have to be alone. Maybe if you had chose a different path and were actually genuinely nice to people, then you wouldn't have been alone. And then you wouldn't have had to force me to do it. It wasn't my job. I should have been encouraged to live my life and go off, but every time I tried, you became increasingly violent and tried to destroy me like everybody else.
I'm sorry. That was not my intent.
Then what was your intent? I'm willing to hear what your intent is. If I'm wrong.
My intent was to keep you with me. I was terrified of being alone.
Well, I should have been given the choice, but I never was.
Right, you should have. And I'm sorry. And there's nothing I can do to make it better.
Nope, there's not. The only thing you can do to make it better is when asked questions that are uncomfortable for you, to answer them truthfully and not get defensive.
Okay, like what? What do you want me to answer?
Oh, I can't get into it tonight. I am so emotionally exhausted. There are a lot of questions I have. When I say a lot, I have a list. If you would like to sit down with me and go over them, I would be happy to, but not tonight.
The next clip was recorded during Shain's second visit to Rock Hill in late February.
Do you know why I left and how long it's been since I've been back?
It's been since 2009.
Would you like to know why I left?
Yeah.
I was living in the house with you and John, and I would go to school during the day, and I would stay up at night and help John with his medication so that you could sleep, so that you could take care of him during the day. One night, when I was doing that, I walked in to give John his medicine, and he gripped a glass of water. It was one of the Looney Tune glasses that had the Tasmanian devil on it. He gripped it with both hands and looked me dead in my eye and said, "Call the cops now. Susan's trying to kill me."
What?
I said, John, what are you talking about? He said, "Who made this glass of water?" I said, "Mom did." He said, "Call the cops now. Have them test it. Susan's trying to kill me." Before I could get back in the bedroom, you had gotten up. You had taken the glass of water. You had poured it out. You had washed, dried, and put it away. I've always known, no proof, but I've always known that me being sick brought you pleasure. It brought you pleasure, the attention that you would get, because I would hear you, and the way you would talk to everyone about your terminally ill child who really had no diagnosis whatsoever. I had no diagnosis. I had no terminally ill diagnosis. And when John looked at me, the fear that he had in his eyes is the same fear that I've had since I was 14. And if there was no reason to cover anything up or hide anything, why would you have gotten up and washed that cup and put it away before the police could get there?
I don't know. I can't.
John was scared.
John wasn't afraid of anything. Okay?
John was scared that you were trying to kill him, because John would be okay for a few days, and then hospice would come in and say he could go in any minute.
I know.
He would be like almost dead, and then like a few days later up walking around the house doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, asking for steak. It made no sense.
No, but that's not the only situation that never made sense.
I don't know what else to tell you. I don't have any answers.
But I walked away because I had already noticed a pattern. Every time I would live with you, I would be really sick all the time. Anytime that I would have meals at your house, anytime I would spend any length of time with you, I was sick. But even afterwards, like trying to get anybody to listen to me about how I felt, nobody would listen to me because everybody thought I was making it up, like I was crazy. Like these symptoms just don't exist for there not to be a diagnosis. I mean, well into my 20s, I'm still being sick. Whenever I walked away and I finally got somebody to fix the damage that had been done to my insides from whatever may have happened, I have no diagnosis. I have no health problems besides for I have a few, lasting effects from the damage done to my stomach, but for the most part, I get a stomach ache every once in a while, just like everybody else now, instead of every single day. Like, how is that possible?
I don't know. All I know is the Children's Hospital, the King's Daughter, had all your records.
No, they don't. I've already tried to get them.
They don't have them?
And also, Dr. McCoy. Dr. McCoy.
I don't know him.
Yes, you do.
Really?
Dr. Robert McCoy. He was one of my pediatricians.
Was Dr. Shaw?
Dr. Shaw.
Okay, yeah.
And I have a letter here from him stating that he tried to get the medical records. There are no medical records at the Children's Hospital, King's Daughter, on these things that you say. You stole medical records out of my files.
I did not.
You have original copies that belong in a medical file that are written in pen, that are the doctor's copies, like this right here that I'm looking at.
Yeah, but I did not steal your medical records.
There's no...
Shain.
There are bits and pieces that have been pulled out to form the medical book that I am very, very upset that I have lost because of some of the things I've done in my life. I got lost in a car, but
I don't know what more you want from me than to say I'm sorry.
Why did I stop breathing at 7 months old?
At 7 months old?
7 months old. Why when Doug went to work, did he get a phone call stating that I had quit breathing and you had to do CPR to bring me back, and then I spent a few days in the hospital from that.
Because of Tylenol.
Tylenol made me stop breathing.
Yes, Tylenol made you stop breathing. Your sister or your aunt or whatever the hell you want to call her, she called and I was on the phone with her. And back then, the military bottles, they put a rubber top on them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And you just bit it off. Other than that, I don't have any explanation. Believe it or not, you were one of the most wanted children in this world.
Then why would you tell me that Doug raped you and that's where I came from? You would tell me that you and Doug planned Christy, but Doug raped you and that's where I came from. If I was so wanted,
I don't know where you got that from.
From you, you would tell me that. Also, when I walked away to break free from this life, I didn't cause you any problems. Simply walked away, and you made it your mission to destroy me. Everybody that knew me, every family member I had, every friend that I had here in South Carolina, you made it a point to let them know that I had made up these horrible things about you, that my childhood was great, and convinced everybody that I was just a junkie who lied about everything. Which I'm not going to lie, I was an addict. But I wasn't an addict the entire length of the time. I've been an addict my whole life, but I'm a binge addict. So I had years of sobriety. Years. But anybody that ever knew me as a child, as an adult, you made me out to be a horrible, horrible, horrible person.
Is this to vindicate you? Is it to vindicate me?
This is to validate the fact that you made me out to be a horrible person.
Okay.
These are your words. This is your email. Amber, I'm Shannon's Shain mother.
Amber.
I'm sorry she has hurt you physically, emotionally, and mentally. She's not the person she presents herself to be. Please take her threats to you and your children seriously. She's a sociopath. She also has borderline personality disorder. She can make you believe the sun is shining when in reality there is a tornado right on you. I'm telling you this for your own safety and that of your children. She has tried to destroy me since the day she turned 17. She's supposedly headed back up there tomorrow. Please be careful. Please take out a restraining order against her. If you haven't already, make a police report so you have a paper trail. Again, I'm so sorry. And then not only that, to further drive a wedge between me and Christy, you sent one from Christy's account as well.
No, Christy sent one from her account. She told me she did.
These are the same words. Me and Christy have discussed this.
I don't know.
Christy, would you like to come in here for a second, please?
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming.
The message from Christy's account.
Wait, 1 second first. Can I address something because I'll forget? First of all, that Tylenol story, a little bottle of Tylenol is not going to make somebody stop breathing because I'm not ignorant in any fashion.
Oh, no, I didn't.
No. Number two, you told me that story happened to me, but this is accurate. Several years ago, you came to me and told me that this happened. You told me that somebody reached out to you, and I said I wanted no part of the drama. This didn't come from me. No, and I'm not going to be dragged under the bus. I will admit what I've done. I admitted to her whenever she showed up to the house. I called her ugly names, and I deeply apologized. I will own what I've done, but I won't have things twisted.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I've disrupted your whole life.
You didn't disrupt my whole life. If it wasn't for the things you've done to me, I wouldn't be the person I am right now. And for the very first time in my life, I'm happy with who I am. Because now I know that I may have saved Christy and John and Levi's lives by allowing you to do the things you did to me instead of them.
For the record, Shain was diagnosed years ago with borderline personality disorder. However, within the past 2 months, based on all of the trauma she's disclosed and the progress she's made, Shain's therapist has declared her BPD is resolved. The next clip was recorded immediately after the last one ended, and Susan started this one strong with some typical emotional manipulation.
I was the one strong enough to beat you. I was the one strong enough to take it.
So you're just going to walk back out of my life?
I didn't say I was walking out of your life.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Are you just going to walk back out of my life?
To be honest with you, me being here wasn't me walking back into your life.
No.
I came...
hoping that you would find me dead.
No, not hoping that I would find you dead. I came because I needed to look at you in the eye and let you know that I forgive you for what you did to me.
And do you forgive me?
Oh, I forgive you. I forgive you.
I forgive you. And you did nothing.
You're right, I did not do anything. I may have done some screwed up things to handle the things that I had been through, but as a mother, it was your job to help me with that.
Yeah.
Sexual abuse that I suffered from the time I was 3 years old till the time I was at least 16 or 17. Kicking me out of the house at 17 was probably what stopped all the abuse, the sexual abuse, because he never got a chance to do it again after that. But I have notes from doctors telling you that I needed therapy to get through what had happened to me and that I had vivid memories of it. I'm 41 years old and I still remember that day when I was 3 years old and that boy hurt me. I remember you pulling the stick out of me and me bleeding. I remember that day. Christy called Jamie and Jamie made me pull over when they found the paperwork on it because they didn't know that I had that memory. Had I not remembered that, that would have really messed me up. But what you need to know is I remember everything. I remember the morning Kevin died.
Okay.
When Tom left for work, he wasn't on third shift that day.
Yes, he was.
When Tom left for work that morning, he told me goodbye because I was sitting there watching cartoons in the big comfy chair in the living room. Kevin was crying.
Kevin was crying?
Kevin was crying
See,
when Tom left for work. In the reports, it says you left Kevin laying in the bed. You didn't leave Kevin laying in the bed. I was sitting there watching the cartoons that come on early morning. And I was sitting there by myself. And you walked down the hall holding Kevin. And he was dead already.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin was dead when you came down the hall. Because you put him in my lap. And you picked up the phone. And I looked at you and told you, Mommy, put him in cold water. That'll wake him up.
Yeah, she did tell me that.
That's what a 5-year-old thinks. That's what a 5-year-old does.
I know.
How sick was it to put a dead baby in your 5-year-old daughter's lap? Why you did not call for help? You called Mike and Lynn Peters. Because I remember, do you believe the phone was a yellow phone? And it had a long cord. And you leaned up against the counter. Yeah. I'm sitting there with a dead baby in my lap. But that's not the story you told.
It's because you didn't have a dead baby in your lap.
I did.
Well, I would offer my opinion, but I don't remember.
How can I have every other detail of that correct, but that one? How can I have all the way down to the color of the corded old phone that we had?
I don't know. I wish I had answers.
But you are the only one that has the answers, you know?
But I don't have them.
Okay, you know earlier how you were talking about, you kept saying you were sorry, and I was like, sorry, just isn't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
It's taken me a long time. For the longest time, that's all I wanted to hear was I'm sorry. I wanted to hear it. I thought that it was going to be this magic thing that was going to make everything all right and clear. And it doesn't. But the only thing that is going to fix this is absolute total honesty about everything.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why did you have so many bottles of Ipecac syrup?
Because I was required to by daycare law.
To have at least one bottle, right? Why did you have so many?
Because they expired.
Real quick interjection here. What a great example of Susan not being nearly as quick on her feet as she thinks she is. She expected her daughters to believe that she'd buy a bottle of Ipecac syrup, keep it until it expired, and buy a new one without throwing away the expired bottle, all the while building a collection that filled an entire cabinet? For what it's worth, according to the Washington Poison Center, studies have shown that Ipecac syrup can be almost completely effective more than 20 years past the expiration date. As the conversation continued, Shain and Christy tried to explain to Susan why they were so desperate now for answers, and they asked Susan about discrepancies in her stories over the years, showing Susan photos of baby Shannon.
Look, I'm not going to be able to give you the answers you want.
I'm just asking because Ipecac syrup induces vomiting violently.
Yeah, it does.
And that's what I did a lot, was violently throw up to the point where my diaphragm ripped and my stomach lodged in my chest. That's how my stomach got in my chest. It wasn't born like that.
Okay. Now I have a question.
Okay.
Can I have time to go over all this?
Yeah, what do you mean?
To try to sink this.
You just need a minute to, you saying you need a break? You need to process things?
I need to process things to try to figure out. I don't understand. There's a lot I don't understand.
And it's compounded by your confusion, and we get that.
Yeah.
And that's why we're talking normal and calm. Nobody's getting riled up.
I'm not mad. I'm not
I know, neither is she, and neither am I. Nobody's intention is to be ugly. Nobody is trying to be ugly at all, raise our voices or anything like that. Now, there may be times where our emotions may get the better of all of us. And if that's the case, we are responsible enough to walk away. But that's not what we're trying here. Here's the reality. We don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow and know who we are. We don't know if in 10 minutes you're going to know who we are. So the waiting game is what we're trying to explain. It's over. We can't wait no more.
But I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I could say something, but it might not be true. You know what I mean?
To me, it's 6 months old.
Yes, they are.
But you're saying she was 6 pounds? In that picture, she was 6 pounds?
Yeah.
She would not move, kick, cry, or turn over. She weighed 6 pounds.
I just don't look right.
Well, you were sitting up, number one.
Turn it over, crawling in another one.
So, I mean, what do you want me to do?
I'm showing you. I'm just showing you that this is why.
Don't get mad.
I'm not. These right here, these pictures, this right here is your timeline. You wrote this. These are your words.
Right.
These are the pictures you took.
Right.
There's no way that this 6-month-old baby smiling, standing, crawling, scooting, laughing.
You're telling me she was smaller than a newborn infant at 6 months old?
Yeah.
But she doesn't look it in the picture.
Look in her baby record.
You talking about her baby book that has all the measurements and stuff?
Yeah.
Right, but who wrote that?
Her pediatrician nurse.
I have it right here.
Am I supposed to take my baby's baby book to the doctor every time I go? Oh my God, I've not done that.
No, you weren't supposed to.
Why did you cut up my birth certificate?
Huh?
Why is this all that's left of my birth certificate?
Let me see. I don't know what you're showing me.
Oh, it's her original with the cook on it.
No, because it had cook instead of...
Because you didn't want us to know?
Well, all I can ask you to do is bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
I know you bared with me all this time, but, I mean, I came home from the hospital on whatever day it was and was bombarded.
I'm not trying to bombard you.
Oh, no.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, let's back up just a second. Absolutely nobody bombarded you. Those were your words. I'm just repeating them. We've got you in here, got you all settled. The kids came in to say hey and love on you. Mimi came over, sat with you a little bit. You asked me if Shannon was here. She said yes. You asked to speak to her.
Yes.
And so as a sign of support, because I mean, if I'm just being honest, there's no telling what's going to come out of your mouth. And I was in here and Jamie came in here just as support. Now, you laid there crying, talking about how much you loved us and how you'd always loved us.
And how welcome I am.
And how welcome she was and that she could be here.
But
And the moment we started asking questions, nicely, I might add you, and even saying it looks like you're getting a little overwhelmed, let's give you some time, and being respectful the whole time, the very next thing that you do the next day is say, you don't want anybody in this house, specifically Shannon, and that you were so excited to come home from the hospice house only to be attacked. And that's not reality.
But it was my reality.
And your reality is skewed because you have dementia now.
According to y'all.
I have.
According to who?
According to y'all.
No, I'm so sorry. That didn't come from me. I got a call from the doctor at the hospice house and the social worker and the nurse. They were all in on a meeting and they wanted to talk to me about you. And he let me know that you have end-stage cirrhosis of your liver.
Yes.
It's called some kind of syndrome because it's not alcohol related.
No.
What it is related is chronic addiction to pain pills. And as a result of that, the chemicals that leak out of your liver are causing this cognitive issue. So it's not me saying it. I did not say it.
The hospice house, where Susan spent a few days, did indeed tell Christy that Susan had end-stage liver cirrhosis. However, later, after Susan was hospitalized in March, medical staff found nothing physically wrong with her, other than her supposed dementia and a reported eye issue.
I never want to tell anybody that anybody's sick because to me, it's embarrassing to have the amount of sickness that has gone on in my life. I mean no disrespect. I have almost zero sympathy for people who are sick because it's never been real in my
I
eyes.
question anytime anybody says they're sick, I'm like, they're making it up. If I get sick, I don't even want to say anything. It took me 3 days to go to the hospital for my hand because
I'm the same way. Number one, I'm not going to take the pills.
I refuse to take medication unless I'm admitted to the hospital and they give me no other choice but put it in through an IV. I won't take it.
Is that the way you see me?
What?
Having to take medication.
Oh,
I know what you and John did to me when you found out I quit taking all those pills.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you remember I used to be on 32 pills of it was called Biocase. 8 pills 4 times a day to help my pancreas.
Biocase, yeah.
On top of how I have 7 or 8 other different medications.
Yeah.
Do you know that whenever I would take those, because my stomach was so messed up, that by the time I had taken all those pills, I couldn't even eat any food. So I quit taking those pills. And you and John found out that I had quit taking them. We were at church. Christy had taken me and John and Levi. You paged Christy. Christy called. You guys had Christy bring me home. You or John asked her to leave, go back to church. And then y'all proceeded to pull out the wad of pills that I had quit taking. And you let a man who was not my father to put a gun to my head and tell me that he might as well shoot me now so that I didn't make you suffer anymore. Then that's why I have a problem with medication.
When Christy and Shain recorded the next clip on February 22nd, 2022, Susan was on a lot of medication and clearly out of it, talking about how biracial kids like her adopted sons, Michael and Kevin, were treated like second-class citizens in the 1980s.
Do you know that you told us our whole life that the reason we were in South Carolina was because you were in jail the whole time? And only to find out that you only spent 10 days in there. And while you're out on bail and bond, you went to the mountains and enjoyed horseback riding and a jacuzzi and visiting with your cousins. Did you know that the whole time that was going on, Shannon and I were being sexually assaulted over and over and over again? Yeah.
Do you know that you moved us back into the house where the sexual assaults occurred?
Yeah.
And that's why I would scream from the memories of it, and you would lock me in the car because you didn't want to hear it. I'm not fussing. I'm not yelling. This is our reality, right? You think that maybe the reason why Shannon had all the problems she did is because of all the sexual assaults?
No.
By the foster child? By the neighbor who stuck a stick up her ass when she was 4 years old? You think that maybe any of that played a part in her rebellious nature and acting out, or her desperate need for attention and love?
Here, Christy tried to explain to Susan how deeply Susan's actions had affected her for life.
It's very frustrating to know that you've been lied to your whole life, and know that you were being lied to your whole life, and to be continually gaslit and told that you don't remember things correctly really weighs heavily on somebody's sanity. And I just don't understand the point of it all. In my opinion, it's felt like my whole life somebody has been sick, and you've enjoyed it. I mean, that's the way it felt, because I have never seen somebody have such bad luck in my life. It's just not possible. It's just not. I'm not a stupid human being by any stretch of the imagination. And I know 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5. And I'm old enough to read between the lines. Yeah. It makes me wonder what happened to you as a child that made you into the person that took joy in hurting people.
I enjoy hurting people.
Whenever you cut somebody out of your life, you couldn't just be happy that they walked away. You had to destroy them. You took pleasure in it. You did it to me multiple occasions. This is speaking just from my personal experience. My whole life, I was made to feel like I could never go and do and be my own person, that I always had to be under your thumb. That's why everybody was so quick to want to run away, to escape. And I did escape, only to be drugged back into it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Everybody's sorry now.
No.
After the fact. Aunt Renee's sorry. Mimi's sorry. You're sorry. But what about the little girl?
Yeah.
The little girl who was failed by so many people in her life, who had no choice but to be the person she is today because of the grown-ups in her life not doing what they were supposed to do.
I'm sorry I failed you.
I mean, it even goes back before Michael and Kevin, and how you handled the divorce from Doug. Who let somebody else adopt their child? You let that happen. You should never have let that happen. You pushed him out of our lives, and you made that decision for selfish reasons. And it destroyed you. Huh?
I pushed 2 out of your life.
Doug Cook.
Susan's scoff at the end of that clip, after Christy mentioned how Susan pushed their biological father out of their lives, made my blood boil. I'll pause here for a word from my sponsors. Now we'll skip ahead to March 5th. Family friend Jamie was present for this recorded conversation. You'll hear her trying to coax Susan to admit to some of her misdeeds. Susan goes all the way back to July of 1986, referring to the time after her arrest when Christy and Shain were sent to South Carolina to stay with their grandparents, Marion and Betty Stevenson, who almost immediately shoved the girls off on their Aunt Renee. That was when their cousin Corey began molesting and eventually raping young Shannon.
It's okay to say the things that you haven't let yourself be vulnerable enough to say. That's one of the reasons that they're here. Because if there's anything that they have to say to you or that you have to say to them, you understand that this is the time, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So I don't think that you should worry about holding back if there's something that you want to say to them.
No, I'm not going to. I just want all my children to know that I love them.
I understand that. But
I'll be the first to admit I made a lot of mistakes. I was led to believe that my children were being taken care of.
And you found out that wasn't true.
And I found out it wasn't true. They were supposed to be with my mother, and they weren't.
Right, you remember that. I don't even remember that.
What?
That they were only there
Oh,
for
no.
a week.
She remembers things. I don't. I have a fucked up mind. I can't remember nothing.
But she was saying that they did stay at Mimi's for about a
Me
week.
and Papa's routine, so we were sent to live with Renee because Renee had 3 children already, and what was 2 more? Well, apparently
Yeah,
2
well,
more.
we found out what was 2 more. Yeah,
Renee told me
and I
she was
have
going to tell me.
no respect for my sister. I have nothing to do with her.
Can I ask why you left them there so long?
Why?
Yeah.
They were left there for their protection.
So that they wouldn't be around the media stuff with you?
Right.
But there was media stuff in Rock Hill.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was all over the newspapers and all over the news.
I had no idea.
Because this was your hometown.
But I think what's one of the things that's been hard for the two of them to understand, they didn't understand why you were gone so long, if you were able to be with them. And so I just, thought maybe if they had an understanding of the reason was because you thought you were protecting them from the media and stuff like that, then that's really important for them to know.
Right. I mean, social services never took them from me. Never. They never had any reason to.
Were you afraid that they would if they were with you?
No. Because Gloria had told me, she said, we have no reason to take your girls from you. But see, I was stupid. I was naive.
Well, let me tell you, if you have a lucid moment enough, you want to watch a movie, I'm going to put this movie called Encanto on for you.
It's really good.
It's a new Disney movie. It's basically about breaking generational curses. Like, Disney really took it there. And there's a song about, we don't talk about Bruno. It resonates so loudly because we just don't talk about things. And I think that's one reason nobody's been able to heal from everything is because all our lives it's been one trauma after another before facing the first trauma, and that compounds itself, and it can either lead to complex PTSD or borderline personality disorder.
Shannon, I never tried to kill you. I went out of my way trying to save your life.
The following day, Susan was surprisingly lucid, exhibiting none of the frailness that Christy had come to expect. The woman who was on her deathbed just days before was gone, and in her place was the same manipulative mother Christy knew all too well. Without Shain and Jamie present, Christy continued to record her conversations with Susan.
I would love for you to talk to me. However, I don't think that it should be just me and you. Here's the thing. However you feel about Shannon, I have a hard time calling her that, okay? I'm calling her Shain. I would appreciate that you don't call her Shain. She does want you to continue to call her Shannon, so that's fine. If I slip up and say Shain, it's just because I have been trying to correct that to be respectful to her, okay? She's not trying to be a dude. That's just her legal name. She legally changed her name to Susan Kendzia. That is what she wants, and I'm being respectful.
Right, I understand that.
Okay? She's been wonderful. Honest to God, whenever I found out she was coming here, I had a full-blown panic attack. I was walking around packing because I was scared. And that's embarrassing to admit now.
Yeah, I know.
Okay? But I didn't know what to expect. But I cannot even explain to you that it has turned out better than I ever imagined.
Oh, I'm glad.
And she has been wonderful to these kids. She's like obsessed with Michael. She just loves him to pieces. She is so thankful that I found somebody like him. And it's going to take us a long time to build a relationship because we've never really been given the opportunity. We've been played against each other.
I know.
And that's really hurtful. And it hurts me because you've seen the tears I've cried. not having siblings, not having anybody I felt like I belonged to have that type of friendship and love and to be there for them. It's all I've ever wanted.
Was it not a dream in
I
my
know,
mind
Christy.
also, Mr. Cartwright?
If I could fix it for you, honey, I would.
Well, that's one thing I've learned. All the sorries and all that, it's all fine and good. And it's just ingrained in us to want to say sorry, but at some point, it don't fix it. There's not a single family member that I want to have anything to do with at this moment other than Shain.
And what about me?
Mama, I got news for you. Up until you came home yesterday, I thought you were dying. You haven't been able to walk. You haven't been able to do anything. And everybody, I say everybody, Doris, the nurses, me, Michael, everything's a little concerning. When you stopped all of your medication that you needed and stopped the oxygen, it's amazing how you turned around.
Yeah, they stopped my oxygen. I don't...
Nope. No.
Yeah, they did.
No, you did. You requested not to wear it anymore.
Okay.
You're shaking your head no, but I have. You told me that specifically. I asked you, do you want it on? No, I don't want to wear it anymore. You told the nurse that. We asked you multiple times. We even tried putting it back on you and you would rip it off.
Okay.
But for somebody who has the lung issues you have, your oxygen's 98.
Well, it'll be 98 as long as I was laying down.
I mean, it's just weird, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's weird. You gotta admit, it's weird.
In the past, Susan was apparently diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension, which was the reason she wore an oxygen tube for several years. During that conversation, Susan came out with the following, unprompted.
I wish God would open my mind and let me know what I did or what I didn't do. I do know I did not kill Michael. I did not kill Kevin. I took polygraphy test after polygraphy test.
Where are those results?
They were with all those papers.
Definitely haven't found those yet.
Okay, well, they're with all that paperwork.
My problem with that is that there are ways around that. I don't want to get into that part right now. I'm not trying to address that part right now. I'm just saying that if we're going to talk about polygraphs, there are certain types of people that they do not affect. And
I do not know how. I swear to God as my witness, I do not understand how to get around them.
okay, what about the little girl Julie that you babysat? Why did you have to give her CPR?
Why did I have to give her CPR?
Yeah.
Because she choked.
So she choked, so instead of giving her the Heimlich maneuver, you gave her CPR?
I splashed water in her face.
You used to splash water in her face because she wouldn't stop screaming and she held her breath. Okay, look, this isn't me fussing. I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm just literally trying to figure out stuff, the flashes of memories that I'm having, and trying to make sense of it all.
Would it make you be happy for me to go to prison?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not at all what I said. I didn't bring that up.
No, I'm asking you. I didn't say that's what you said. I'm asking you.
I think at this point, it's past that. How do you go from adopting a child and then 2 months later, them dying, to ending up in a psych hospital and then thinking it's a good idea to adopt another child? Like, the thought process behind it. How in the world that was approved when you get out of a psych hospital a day or two beforehand?
Are you gonna let me answer?
Yeah, that's why I paused.
Okay. When Michael died, we were on a waiting list for Kevin. Okay?
But that's not what your story says. I'm just saying that it doesn't. Your words. Okay, keep going.
I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. That's what my...
So, while you were trying to adopt Michael, you were on a waiting list for Kevin. So, you were planning on having 2 boys?
Right.
Christy also addressed with Susan the topic of her adoptive sister, KL.
The reason I don't have is because it was a power thing.
Yeah, it was.
And you used her to control me. And
I did not use her to control you, Christy.
you knew I wasn't going to leave her. I moved back in and you were giving that child cold showers. The rad that she has, it probably stems from you. If it even exists at all. But I will let you know everything's being retested. You were never happy unless something was wrong with somebody. Somebody had to have something wrong with them.
I did not want something to be wrong with
Mama,
them.
if we're being honest, yes. You've always gotten pleasure out of having something wrong with somebody. You can laugh about it all you want. You're telling me it's normal.
No, you're making me sound like I'm a sicko.
No, baby, I'm not making you. I'm just speaking the truth. It is a little sicko. I've never seen anybody take joy in people being sick like you. There has been somebody sick my whole damn life, one after another. And that's not normal. I mean, either that or you got the worst luck in the world. That just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. And all the medical books you have, and I think that people have the ability to make people think that they have certain diseases whenever they truly don't.
No.
And I think that you weren't nowhere near as sick as what you were. And you did this to yourself. Because why else would the medicine? Why else would the medicine, you stopping the medicine, all of a sudden it seems like you're getting better, which is my worst nightmare because I can't continue the abuse.
You can't what?
I can't continue the abuse that I get from you.
I'm not going to abuse you, Christy.
Well, we'll see what happens, but I think that at the very least we should continue this conversation.
Yeah.
It's 10:30. I'm so tired. I'm not trying to be rude or end this conversation, but I think that Shannon has a right to be over here.
Yeah.
She hasn't been doing anything. She has helped me. She helped me get this porch cleaned out. I mean, she has been very helpful. She has gone above and beyond. And the old Shannon
Would never have.
The old Shannon who flew off the handle and would get angry, and justifiably so, the drugs and everything, it all makes sense now. She never got the help that she needed to heal from the trauma.
Later that day, Christy sat down with Susan for a frank discussion about her behavior.
You have this moment and what time is left to change the way things have gone. Okay? It's not me coming down on you. I think I'm being really nice. But only you can want to change it. I have you recorded talking about how sorry you are and that you want to change things and you want to do this and you want to do that. But we can't continue this way and you telling stories and trying to manipulate people to get the things that you want. Okay?
I'm not trying to manipulate.
Well, whether you're trying or not, it's so ingrained in you. That's all you do. You manipulate people and try and guilt them to do the things that you want to do.
In the same conversation, Christy called Susan out for doing what she does best. This is an infuriating clip. Susan's narcissism is on full display here.
Well, I was an unfit mother.
Okay, no, see, what you're doing there is trying to turn this around and play the victim instead of having an honest conversation. Okay, in Virginia, I supposedly went into a coma watching Inspector Gadget and ended up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you tell me what happened?
You were watching Inspector Gadget in a waiting room at the hospital.
Yeah.
And they tried to wake you up. And
so was this a separate time than the time that I was dehydrated? How does a 6-year-old get dehydrated and they're not sick? I have all the medical records.
Well, then refer to them.
I don't want to refer to them. I really want to hear it from you. You owe me that.
I don't owe you anything.
Oh, you don't?
I can only give you answers.
But you're refusing to. You've refused my whole life to answer any questions.
No, I haven't.
Okay, then, if you are all about answers, explain this to me. Whenever you were in jail for 10 days, and then whenever you got out, why did you go on a retreat and go horseback riding, a jacuzzi sitting, to write your book?
Didn't.
Oh, really? I have proof of it.
Well, then you have proof of it.
I have your manuscript, too.
Yeah, I know.
I have all the transcripts from every court, everything. And the stuff don't match up.
I'm good.
You contradict yourself in everything. So I just want to understand, and I think I have every right to understand. Or is it your goal to continue the trauma and die and leave us with so many questions?
I don't intend to continue the trauma.
Okay, well, that's what it's
And
producing.
I don't know what answers you're looking for.
Why did you go horseback riding and go to the mountains while your kids were being raped in South Carolina? Or you came to South Carolina to visit us, but instead spent the day with Frank and his hot best friend roommate instead of with your children? I don't think these are unreasonable questions to ask. Do you? Is it that you just don't want to tell me? You don't like the answer? And it's not going to fix anything? I know it's not going to fix anything, but it sure would go a long way. There is a reason I can't remember my childhood. I'm not talking about just Virginia. I'm talking about teenage years, too. I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder from all of the trauma. And I think that as I'm standing upright, I fully believe that that is a testament to the type of person I am. That I can sit here and talk to you about this and try and get answers calmly and rationally.
But you're not.
But
You're fussing at me.
Okay, stop. Would you like me to rewind this so that way you can hear that I am not fussing at you? You're not going to contradict it. You're not. That's why I have to protect myself.
Yeah, you have to protect me.
I do.
Who protects me?
What exactly do you need
Nobody.
protected from? What do you need to be protected from?
Nothing.
Okay, that's straight out of your mouth. That's great to hear. But you have a track history of lying. You have a track history of accusing me of doing things that I never do. Well, you want to explain to me why you told the reason why Shain or Shannon hasn't been around is it's all my fault?
What? You know, Christy, if y'all are all so unhappy and living with me is making your life such a living hell, why stay?
You're not accepting accountability. You're trying to get rid of me again, which you've done my whole life.
No, I'm
Oh,
not.
yes. You're not going to say that. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here. I am a strong woman and I am capable. I'm here because I want to be here. But you're not going to get uncomfortable by the questions being asked to you and then go, well, if you don't like it, you can leave. That's not the way this works anymore. That's the narcissism. I can't do that.
Well, can you at least give me breaks?
I have. I literally just came in here to check on you. And then sat down and we just started talking. How many breaks do you need? In 43 years, how many breaks do you need that you can't take 5 minutes out of your time and give me some truth for once in my life?
I give you truth.
I am the only person. Do you know what it's like to be raised by a narcissist who elevates one child above everybody else? Do you know that it makes the rest of the children hate them? You did that to me.
I'm not surprised.
Oh, why can't you just say I'm sorry?
I did say I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm not surprised. That isn't passive aggressive.
I am sorry. To the bottom of my soul,
Sorry
I am
only
sorry.
goes so far if you tell the truth.
See?
If you explain.
I can't win.
No, what you can't seem to do is talk to me and explain anything. Every time you're met with a question, you get defensive and you switch it around and go, you can just leave or you can give me a break. You're not taking the time to answer questions. And I'm not fussing. I'm not yelling. I'm trying to talk to you calmly because I'm genuinely concerned. I have questions.
Okay.
Are they hard questions?
Yes, but these are questions I should never have been put in the position to even have to ask. I shouldn't have to try to wonder and explain to my inner child why I was being raped while my mama was horseback riding.
I wasn't horseback riding while you were being raped.
Okay, would you like me to read the letter? I have everything. I found everything.
Good.
Okay, that doesn't bother you?
What doesn't bother me?
That I have read everything and compared it.
No, why would it bother me?
Okay, because you know I don't have many memories of things, okay?
Yeah, I know.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
There is a real reason. There is a therapy I am starting. It's called EMDR therapy
Yeah.
that processes childhood trauma and brings back repressed memories.
Right.
I am going to be going through that. I am going to go to Smithfield as well. And I'm going to put myself there in that house. And I am going to walk through it. And I am going to try my best to remember everything that happened. In Virginia, there's many names I have that I'm reaching out to. So Lynn and Mike Peters, Gloria Wilson, she's still alive.
I'm glad she
And it's
was.
not that I'm trying to attack you. I need to ask questions because I need to try and make sense of my brain before it explodes. I'm waiting on Parker Council to reach out to me. Ken Usner's dead, so is his law partner. However, I've tracked down his ex-wife and all of his sons, and they have paperwork and tapes, which I loved listening to, the one that I found. Were you having an affair with Ken?
No.
Why did he care about how beautiful you were and smiling?
Because he was a sicko.
Oh, it didn't seem like you cared too much about it. You played right along laughing while you were in jail. I'm just really confused about a lot of things. And the things that I've read, the things that I've seen, the contradictions in them. I don't understand how I'm supposed to believe you now if all you've done my whole life is lie to me.
I haven't lied to you.
You have numerous
No, I haven't.
times. You have. And in 1989, whenever you were with John, who did you embezzle money from?
1989.
Yes, I have your arrest warrant from when you had a breach of trust, which is embezzlement in South Carolina. Who did you embezzle money from? Who are you working for? So you stole.
Yeah, I stole to support my family who John would not support.
Well, honey, what'd you think was going to happen when you married an ex-con who was a heroin addict?
I really didn't give it much thought.
Not that I'm complaining about him. I'm just saying it's just...
It's the way you're saying it, Christy.
I'm not saying it in any ugly way. I mean, I'm 43 years old.
Yeah.
My entire life I've been told, we don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. You know how shocking it is to be a child and find a book in the attic and an inside inscription says Christy Cook, and your mind be completely blown and wondering who the hell that is and why my name was changed?
No.
I feel like an orphan. I don't believe I've gotten the whole story from you. I don't believe I've gotten the whole story from Doug. I don't believe I've gotten the whole story from Tom. Not that I talked to him. We will be meeting, though, in the next month to discuss a whole bunch of stuff. But there are several people that are still alive, and I'm very interested in trying to figure it out. And
like Gloria, I would love to talk to Gloria.
I don't know that that's a good idea.
Why? Why is it not a good idea?
I don't know. I haven't been able to talk to her yet, but I'm just saying I don't know that you want to open up those kind of wounds. Or,
Well, Christy, all I can do is try to help you. That's all.
the only thing that can help me is the truth.
That's
I have been gaslighted my whole life. I have literally had instances where I have seen something happen. I have been told something happened that is completely different than what I actually witnessed. And then because I'm a child, I have been manipulated and browbeat to consider that the true story. And it's okay if you don't want to admit it. It's okay. I recognize it as reality. I'm not being ugly about it. You told people I was abusing you. You did. You can shake your head no. I have proof of it. I have heard conversations.
okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's fine if you don't know. I do. And that's all that matters. It would suck to die without admitting the truth because you know what will happen. You know what's going to happen if you don't finally admit the truth. At this point, what's going to happen? What, am I go somewhere? I've literally been abused my whole life. Where the hell am I going to go at this point? And abuse is not just physical. Abuse is emotional, mental.
I know, Christy, and I'm sorry. I'm more sorry than you'll ever understand.
But yet you continue to perpetrate the same nastiness after saying you're sorry.
But I'm not trying to.
And sorry without change is just manipulation.
I'm not trying to do that.
Whenever I ask you a question and you're evasive, or you switch it to that didn't happen, I have documentation things happen, and I have questions. I have questions that need to be answered. For example, why did Shannon stop breathing and need CPR before she was 1? This is from your timeline, so don't say it didn't happen.
No, I'm not going to say it didn't happen. When she was 1 year old?
Yeah.
I can't right offhand remember.
Okay.
That's not saying I'm pushing it off. I'm saying Shannon had a lot of health problems. Whether y'all want to believe it or not.
You have to be the most unlucky person in the world. Honest to God, for all of the stuff that has happened. And you see how it just doesn't seem right? So if you can't remember why she had CPR, then why did Julie have CPR?
Julie?
Your little babysitter kid used to stick her face in the water?
I stick her face in the water.
No, I'm remembering things.
Well, you remember things, but I never stuck her face in the water.
Because she held her breath. Yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. So why did she have CPR?
I'm not going to argue anymore, Christy.
I'm not arguing. I'm asking you a question. Here we go being evasive. That's not arguing. I asked you a question and you don't want to answer it again. You know, in my entire life, I've never given CPR to anybody. And yet you've given it to a lot of people. And it's not normal. Okay, you don't want to talk to me. That's fine.
I didn't say I didn't.
No, you did. You're saying I'm arguing. I'm talking, but you're accusing me of arguing. And
you just want answers.
I want answers.
Yeah.
It is not right that my entire life I have been told that you wished I was a boy.
I did not wish you were a boy.
Yes, you did. I have it in writing. I have it in writing about how much. I read your whole manuscript that you wrote.
Okay.
I've read all the transcripts from the police department.
Okay.
They don't add up. They don't match. There's a lot of stuff that's switched around.
I don't know what else to say, Christy, except that I was wrong in a lot of choices. Number 1, in leaving Doug.
But you said he beat you.
He did.
Okay. Do you have proof of it?
Do I have proof of it? Yeah, I have hospital records.
Okay, for when you fell down the stairs?
No, from where he slammed me into a door, bruised my kidneys.
But if he was so bad, why did you sleep with him while you were awaiting trial?
Because I'm a horrible person.
Eventually, when Christy refused to put up with more of Susan's bullshit, Susan tried switching tactics, although it didn't last long.
I am sorry, and I mean that, Christy, from the bottom of my heart. I know y'all don't think I have a heart, but I do.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sorry doesn't do anything. It really doesn't.
If you don't mean it.
It's not going to make any of it go away. The only thing that's going to help at this point is if the truth is told. And I want it to be done in a civil manner.
I do.
I want it to be nice. The reason Jamie came yesterday is because Shannon knew you wanted her to come in here. You asked for her. And she was scared to come in here because she has made it very clear from the very get-go that she is not here to cause any problems. She doesn't want to fuss or make you feel bad. So she was scared to come in here because she didn't know what you were going to do with her being in here. And then you laid there and you cried, talking about you love us, you've always loved us. And then the very next morning you wake up and you're like, I don't want her here. Y'all attacked me. And that's not reality. That didn't happen. That's called gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of abuse. And I'm sorry, I will call you out on it. I can't do it anymore.
So I'm basically useless.
Oh, no, God almighty, here we go again.
I don't know about you, but I am in total awe of Christy's strength and restraint. especially after hearing this next part and the ugly trick Susan pulled with the house she owned but shared with Christy and her family.
You have used this house and held it over my head because you knew it would hurt me to constantly threaten me not to have a place to live. Only to tell me that you left me this house so that my kids and your kid could be taken care of. But you couldn't even do that. You left it to Mimi. You left it to Mimi. You lied to me. Like, you want to hurt me for some reason, for something that I did that I'd never have done.
No, you haven't.
And now it's too late because you're not in your right mind. You know what's going to happen if something were to happen to you? Hal sure is going to go to Mimi. Just so you know, I already talked to Mimi about it and told her what you did and how you contacted and were trying to sell, which Mimi also confirmed it. Mimi told me how you were telling her that y'all were going to all leave us and move to Louisiana to be with your church because, you know, that's just so wonderful. Mimi confirmed all that. No, everybody else is not lying. I actually have your email from about don't tell nobody. So you can't get out of it. No.
I know.
So whenever that happens, Mimi is not leaving us the house. Mimi is going to sign the deed over immediately to us, so there's not going to be any problems.
Exactly.
But see, I'm not a mean person. I'm not you. I would never threaten to kick that woman out because that's my Mimi, and I don't care how mean she is. She will always have a home here. But once Mimi is gone, this house will be sold, and I will leave Rock Hill, and I will never come back. I don't want to have anything to do with Uncle Gene. I don't want to have anything to do with any of them. I don't have family. Family should look out for you. Family should protect you, and nobody protected us. We were failed by so many people. Question. Were we interviewed?
Yeah.
Really? Who interviewed us?
Parker Council.
He is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he became a judge.
Yeah.
I called the Supreme Court in Virginia, and they're getting my contact information to him so I can get that statement from him.
I know. He wouldn't.
No, he helped your lawyer.
No.
Yes, he did. Let me tell you how he helped your lawyer. He told your lawyer you had absolutely no case if they could try them separate. He told him to separate the cases. You had a judge trial because if it went to jury and they were tried together, you would have ended up in jail.
March 22, 2022 was the day Susan flipped out after finding out her trophy binder was gone and made her escape, walking out of the house and across the lawn to her mother's house on the same property. When that happened, Christy called Shain in Virginia, clearly at the end of her rope. At that point, Shain decided to intervene in Susan's disruption of Christy's family. She headed to Rock Hill despite having only $56 in her pocket and half a tank of gas. During the 5-hour drive from Virginia, she decided to go straight to Piedmont Medical Center, where Susan was waiting in the emergency room. She wanted to see if she could get Susan to talk by playing the long-lost daughter taking care of her ailing mother. In this recording, you'll hear Susan's immediate negative reaction to Shain's arrival. When Shain asked if Susan was lucid, the nurse replied that Susan seemed to be oriented, which Shain explained by telling the nurse that she felt Susan's condition was mostly self-induced.
Get away from me. Why? Stay away from me. I'm just going to check on her. No, she's not allowed to be around me.
Okay, so she freaked out, but they told me to stay. So things are about to get interesting because the nurse is not buying her shit right now. And whenever she told me to get away from her, the nurse told me to come over there. So is she completely lucid right now?
So
Except for her history.
she is oriented to times 4. I know it sounds like a very complicated case, and so Dr. is going to want to talk to you.
Okay. The fact that she knows me right now kind of goes along with what I'm thinking, that a lot of this has been an act for her. She has Munchausen by proxy and Munchausen. So most of her condition is self-induced.
Okay. So
Are y'all going to send her home, or?
I don't think so, but they're going to need to talk to you to...
I'm not the sister with power of attorney or anything like that. Like, I just came from Virginia, because my sister called me this morning, told me what was going on, so I figured I'd come down here. I was just going to find out why she was causing trouble and,
Okay.
keep her company while she was here.
Okay. That was,
But she...
and to be honest, it's very noisy out there, and I don't know if the hospice nurse came up here earlier.
I think hospice released her just now.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister said that.
That's
hospice,
what she had said. Yeah, she had said that they had released her.
Yeah, they took her off her meds because she couldn't swallow anymore.
Mm-hmm.
She got better.
Okay.
I was just going to stop here for a
stay
minute.
until you talk to the ER doctor, and we can kind of sort.
Okay, my name's Shain.
Shain, thank you, Shain.
Okay.
You want to sit with?
Well, she doesn't want me near her. I was going to give her some coloring books or something to do.
Are you going to be outside, or how
do you want a coloring book, something to do, maybe a candy bar? I got you a Three Musketeer and a coloring book. Yeah, I'm talking. You want something to do? All right, I'll go get them for you. As I was walking out, she said, "Beware my daughter." You want some markers and a coloring book? Something to do? Mom, come on. I'm being nice. Come on. I'm not here to cause any problems or anything. This is me being nice. I heard you had trouble this morning. You had a hard time. I drove down from Virginia as soon as all that happened, and I came to see you. This is my first stop.
I'm sure Christy will fill you all. And,
I don't care what's going on. I just came to see you, okay? Here's a pillow to put the books on. Do you want to color a butterfly? It'll keep your mind busy, so you're not bored.
I ain't bored. Trust me, my mind's plenty busy.
Well, what's on it? You want to talk?
Nope.
For a while, Susan just sat there, sobbing listlessly, before Shain tried to engage her again. Then another medical professional came to talk to Shain and Susan to find out what was going on, saying she couldn't find anything physical that could be causing Susan's symptoms. Interesting. She also mentioned that Susan told her Christy was abusive to her. Shain went on to explain the situation as succinctly as she could.
I wanted to hear a little bit about what was going on. She's going to get a room in the back when we have one available, but I kind of got everything started from up here.
She's getting admitted.
Well, we needed to sort through everything. I haven't seen anything to explain anything physically happening. She was telling me that, is it your sister that has been living in her house with her?
No, it's my sister's house.
Okay.
And she's been taking care of my mother for, I don't even know how many years, because I haven't spoken to my mother in like 12 years until February.
Okay.
And, I got a phone call, a message from my brother and sister telling me that she was on hospice. Mm-hmm. By the end of the month, she shouldn't even be around anymore, Mm-hmm. And that was 2 months ago, or almost 3 months ago now. And they took off her medicine because she couldn't swallow.
Okay.
And she got better. She just released herself from hospice.
Right. What she said.
She did all this to herself. All this that's wrong with her is self-induced.
Okay.
So I haven't seen any real medical documents about what is wrong with her. They said she has dementia, but she knew exactly who I was when I walked in that door.
Yeah, and she's pretty with it, but she's telling me that the daughter that has been living in the same house with her has been abusive and
not at all. Her and her husband are saints, and there's cameras up in the house to prove it. They have to put the cameras in to protect their children from her. So,
does she ever hear things, see things that aren't there?
I'm going to show you, I'll show you some of them that, she's been doing over the last, my sister gave her a notebook, and,
What is her name?
What's my name?
Mm-hmm.
My name is Shain Kendzia.
S-H-A-N-E?
S-H-A-I-N. She's going to call me Shannon. That's the name she gave me. I had it legally changed because I hear her voice whenever I hear that.
Okay.
Later the same day, Shain took this recording, in which Susan gives her some attitude. She also denies having dementia, which furthers the idea that her mental state over the previous months was caused by her medication and likely self-induced.
Do you want me to stay or you want me to go?
Go.
Okay, you want me to leave you a coloring book and those markers? Okay, I think they're going to get you a bed, so it'll give you something to do.
Do it when I see it.
Well, they just talked to me. They said they're going to get you a bed, okay?
Right.
They told me they already have one back there for you, alright?
Right.
Why don't you look at me? Mom, you're my mom.
Yeah, I'm your mama.
Yeah.
Seems funny how you forgot that a few weeks ago.
No, I didn't forget that. I've always known that you're my mom. I can never shake that. That'll never, ever be something I can deny. Too much history. But I genuinely came up here to bring you a coloring book. I drove 5 hours to come and make sure that you weren't scared or confused because of your dementia?
I am not have dementia.
Okay, I don't think you do either.
I know I don't.
Okay, well, the doctors thought you did because of the crazy stuff you were talking before.
The doctors didn't even check me for dementia.
I know. And that I asked them if there's a test that they can do so that we can be sure that you don't have it, okay?
Exactly.
I asked them about that because we need to know for sure.
Hey, I have that piece of paper. How about that?
What piece of paper?
It says I don't have dementia.
Where's it at? Because I haven't seen anything. I don't know much. I just know that, like last time you went to the hospice house, they said that you had dementia.
Because Christy wanted them to.
Christy wanted them to tell you had dementia?
Yeah.
She does not have that kind of power, Mom. You have more power than she does. I mean, look at everything. Like, you have way more power than she does. There's no way Christy could have done that. Christy really has been trying to take care of you good. I know Michael has. Michael's done a good job, right?
Yeah.
Michael's so good to you. Like, I just met him in February, and that man is a saint.
Yeah, he is.
He is so good to you. Do you know how lucky you are to have somebody like him care about you?
Yeah.
Because Susan told everyone, including her mother and KL, that Christy was abusing her and holding her captive, Christy initially refused to talk to her. On March 24th, Christy agreed to talk to Susan on the phone and captured this recording.
Well, I love you too. That's never been a question. Mama, you've been telling everybody lies about me.
I know, and I'm straightening that out too.
I mean, that really hurts me because I would never, ever do the things that you've accused me of.
I know.
I have done everything I can to take care of you.
I really am sorry.
All I did was try and help you.
You took great care of me, Christy, and I'm sorry I let you down. I'm sorry I ruined your life. But I love you, and I love those babies.
I love you too. Please straighten this out and tell them the truth.
I am straightening it out, and I'm telling the truth. I mean, we're going to have to get counseling and all kinds of stuff, but it's got to be done. It's worth it. Y'all are worth it. Y'all are my life, whether y'all believe it or not. I don't do things intentional to make you mad. I promise, I swear to God, I don't.
Well, I don't know what reaction you were trying to get them whenever you were telling people that I was abusing you and that I was keeping you captive and you had to plan an escape to get away from me, and that's not the reality of it.
No, it wasn't. But in my mind, I had to escape that room.
But you didn't say the room. You said me.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'll never be able to make it up to you. But I'll spend the rest of my life crying.
The next several recordings were taken on March 27th while Susan was still in the hospital waiting for placement into an assisted living facility. She's completely lucid at this point, and while Shain sat with her in the hospital, they had some extremely painful conversations dealing with the truth about their shared past. Shain had been in town since the 22nd, but she suffered from a severe migraine for a few days and wasn't able to visit Susan in the hospital. After a nurse came in and talked to Susan and Shain about psychiatric services for Susan, this exchange took place in which Susan claims to have dementia, which she denied just 5 days before. Susan also came close to making a huge admission about Shain's health as a child, although she stops short of taking responsibility, for now.
I'm sorry, Shain.
For?
Everything is messed up.
Okay.
I'm sorry for ruining Christy's life, your life. I thought I was doing the right things. But I do love y'all, and I hope that y'all can forgive me in time.
I do forgive you. I forgave you years ago.
No, illness is not a fun thing.
Nope, sure isn't. It took me a long time to get mine under control, but there is help for it.
I hope so.
As long as you're honest about it. You have to be honest about your feelings and everything.
That's what I'm trying to do, but they won't talk to me.
But we'll get somebody down here, because I'll talk to somebody. We'll get a psych down here to talk to you about this stuff.
I mean, I need rehab. Explain to your mother why you had to have little boys instead of little girls. Because you don't love little boys. Because I wasn't loved as a child.
My brother was dressed as a little girl. There's so much sickness.
That's why I didn't have kids.
But I have always wanted y'all. I went out and searched for help and got a psychiatrist to try to explain to me. And he explained to me that I am lovable. I wish I could go back and undo it. I can't.
I wish we could go back and undo a lot of things, but
all I can do is go forward.
Can't change what's happened.
And I mean, there are things my mother will never be able to face.
No, she doesn't want to know.
No.
But you know what?
That's something she's going to have to deal with.
That's because, you know why she doesn't want to know? Because she feels guilty because she did nothing to help us.
I know. She did nothing.
She did nothing to help us. She stood by and let it happen.
She did. And I can forgive her, okay?
I forgive her too. But I have no respect for her.
Right.
And if Pawpaw knew, what kind of person your mother was, I don't know what his take is on violence toward women, but he'd slap the shit out of Mimi, and she deserved it. To care absolutely none about her grandchildren. She didn't care not one bit that Corey was raping me every single day. And when I told her about it, oh no, that didn't happen. Yeah, that happened every single day of my life till I was 17 and you kicked me out of the house. Not only did Corey do it, Brian's friends did it too. Anytime any little boy they had to spend the night, I was their little plaything.
Yeah, I do remember some of that.
I have been sexually abused since I was 3 years old. And I never got any help.
I'm so sorry.
Nobody helped me. Nobody gave me any psych help. Nobody was there for me. Nobody taught me how to deal with it.
I'm sorry.
And that's why I am so screwed up. That's why I couldn't act right as a kid. That's why
you are the way you are. But there's always hope, Shannon.
I'm all out of hope for me.
Don't be.
I've been alone in this world for the last 12 years. I've been the perfect victim. I could drop dead and nobody would report me missing. That's how little everybody cared about me.
I called to check on you.
You turned everybody against me.
I know.
You destroyed my life. Yes, I was a drug addict. But that's probably the only thing that you said that was true.
I'm sorry.
Anybody that has ever known me, I lost them. I lost everybody. My best friend, any of my friends here, any family member, I didn't have anybody. And that's why I tried to kill myself 3 years ago. I spent 4 weeks in ICU because I overdosed. My heart stopped. They brought me back. And guess what? When I woke up 3 days later, guess what? I was alone because nobody gives a shit about me. Nobody has given a shit about me my whole life. The only thing that anybody's ever cared about is my health. How you feeling today? Are you doing okay? That's the only thing anybody ever cared about. Nobody knew me. I was not an individual. I was a sick kid. I was the kid that was dying. That was it. I was too busy being prepared to die that I wasn't ready to live whenever I figured it out that I wasn't dying. I didn't have the skills I needed. I didn't have the maturity. I didn't have anything I needed to be an adult. I am 41 years old and I still have a hard time doing adult things. Making a doctor's appointment, buying groceries for the week, paying my bills on time. Those are simple things for any normal person.
I can't do it. I'm serious. I know what you're saying. Okay?
I was being groomed to die, not groomed to live. And to this very day, even up to last night, I was so tired. My head kept just nodding. But because I trained myself at such an early age to not go to sleep because I didn't want to die in my sleep, I still can't sleep to this day.
That's why I don't sleep. It's not about me. This is about us and how I failed you your entire life.
Not just you. Every adult in my life failed us.
Yes.
Every adult. My counselors at school, my doctors, your Dr. Tuttle.
Yeah.
He failed as a human being, as a doctor. He failed miserably.
Yeah. And then I failed everybody else. Are you going to be able to work with me, to forgive me?
I have forgiven you. I do forgive you. Okay?
Yeah. But can we work together?
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that was possible.
Thank you.
Okay? I'm trying my best. This is the hardest thing I have to do because I'm up here taking care of you, washing you, making sure you're eating, putting lotion on you, and all this other stuff. When all you've done my entire life is try to destroy me, make me sick. You wanted me to spend the night up here in the hospital with you? Do you know how many nights you left me alone in hospitals?
Yeah. I was there, Shannon. I was there. Mom and Daddy were there.
Yeah, I remember Mimi and Papa being there a lot.
Did you all remember me being there? Honey,
Rarely. You would be there when the doctors would be in there, whenever the diagnosis is, or this is what's wrong with her, but you would go home and go to bed.
I'm so sorry.
I spent my entire life scared that I was going to be the next one
The next one.
to die.
Yeah.
No child should be scared to die,
Yeah.
especially when they aren't dying.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm not just saying that. I am truly sorry.
Kids at school in 8th grade, the only friend I had was Rachel and Justin, because nobody wanted anything to do with the dying kid.
I'm so sorry, baby.
But I wasn't dying. But you sure did make me believe I was. I have been through more than any person should ever have to go through.
Yeah. What can I do, Shannon? What can I say? What happened?
I'm not fussing at you. I'm emotional.
No, I
And
know you're not.
my tone of my voice, my emotions come out in my voice.
It needs to. You need to be emotional about all this crap.
And I used to hate Christy. I used to hate her so much for not being sick. But a few weeks ago, it hit me that I was the one that was strong enough to take it. She might not have lived through it.
I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to help me. I don't know how to help Christy and the kids. I don't even feel like anybody.
Did it make you feel like needed for me to be sick?
It did.
It gave you purpose. It gave you something to do.
It gave me a reason for living. To take care of you, to make sure that you would be okay.
But I would have been okay.
But you aren't. Because of me. That's what it boils down to. I tried, but it didn't work. I tried to make you better, and all I did was ruin your life.
How did you try to make me better? What do you mean by that?
I tried to be there for you. You were the cutest, stinkingest little baby girl. Your skin was so soft. I loved putting lotion on you. I loved rubbing you and loving you. And you were my last baby.
So you wanted to make sure I always needed you.
Always really need me. Everybody needs to be needed, I guess.
So making me sick was the way.
I did not mean to make you sick.
You didn't mean to?
I did not. The doctors told me that it was your pancreas. I fed off of that. I did not want you to be sick, baby. I wanted you to have a normal, healthy life. And God knows that was anything but. And I can't make it up to you. I can't change it. All I can do is go forward. No matter what I do, it'll never be enough to make up to you what I put you through. But I want you to know my heart is in the right place. Okay? For me to say I love you, I don't say that lightly. I love you. Okay? I love you who you are. I'm sorry the medical people in our life failed us.
Why could they never find out what was wrong with me if I was sick? Why did I not ever have a diagnosis?
You had diagnosis. They said you had cystic fibrosis. Well, then they came back and said, no, you don't have cystic fibrosis. These are things I said, not me. They said you had that pancreatitis stuff. Your diagnosis was that. I didn't give it to you.
How does a 14-year-old get the pancreas
of an
80-year-old man that's been drinking all the time?
I don't know.
And how is it I don't have it like that now?
I don't know. They couldn't explain that. You were in the room with me, okay? That doctor told me, he said, your daughter has the 80-year-old of an 84-year-old man who spent his life drunk. You were in the room with me.
Yeah.
He took me to a room by myself with you and told me that. But yet you heard every word of it.
Because I woke up.
Right. But I didn't know that, and I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Because you hadn't never drank.
Nope.
It made no sense. It still doesn't. But now your pancreas is fine.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you had to take enzymes and all that, but you didn't want to take them.
No, I didn't because...
It made you sick.
Because I didn't need them. I didn't need it. I didn't need all those medicines. I was eating so many pills that I couldn't eat food. And when John found out that I wasn't taking my pills, he put a fucking gun to my head. You let him put a gun to my head at 15 years old. Said he might as well kill me now since I'm just gonna die anyway.
I'm sorry.
I'll take another quick break to hear from my sponsors. In this clip, Susan admitted to being a narcissist and told Shain she wanted help. She also declared in no uncertain terms that she wanted to go into long-term care. I mention this because her brother, Susan Stevenson, later yanked her out of that facility as if Susan had been coerced into going there, which was far from the truth.
The only way to get benefits of the help from psych is to tell them.
Yeah.
Tell them this is what you've done. You don't know why you do it, but this is what's happened. And yeah, better late than never, but...
Can we heal from this?
Yeah, we got to get help for it first.
And I'm willing. I'm more than willing.
Like you have to be. The only way to get the help that the help that's gonna help, the things that are gonna help you, is by being completely honest about everything in there.
Yep.
Because if not, they're gonna be treating something that you're telling them instead of treating what you need
help with.
Do you know what you need help with?
No.
Do you know the word for it?
Narcissistic?
Munchausen.
Munchausen?
Munchausen by proxy.
I don't know what that means. Munchausen
is when you make yourself sick in order to get attention from other people.
Yeah, right.
Munchausen by proxy is whenever you make a close relative or loved one sick in order to gain sympathy. And
that's what they said I had caused Michael or Kevin to die. I had Munchausen by proxy.
Munchausen by proxy.
I did not hurt Michael or Kevin. God is my witness. I did not kill my babies. Okay?
Okay.
That is my truth.
Okay.
I will never admit to something I did not do. Those were my sons, and I did not hurt them in any way, shape, or form like that. Yeah, I've had a temper. My God, Stevensons don't. They do. But I'm trying to come to terms with all this other crap, and I can't even go back to step one because I don't know what step one is.
Step one is getting help. Step two is admitting what you have in your head.
Right.
Whether you're ashamed of it or embarrassed of it.
I'm ashamed, trust me.
The only way for it to start fixing itself is to say it out loud, name it, accept it, and be aware of it. Being aware of your mental illnesses
Uh-huh.
is the best way to help your mental illnesses.
Okay. Now, the narcissist, I can't say the...
Narcissistic.
Yeah, I understand that.
Mm.
And I see that. My daddy always needed help. I always wanted to be an EMT to
Help people.
Yeah, to make him proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was an EMT. That's why I practiced CPR. That's why I did all this different stuff. Just trying to impress my dad.
So you don't think that by trying to impress your dad, you practice CPR on babies?
No, because I was in a class. You know, a CPR class?
Mm-hmm.
No, I went to EMT classes, but, I mean, Shannon, I don't know. I don't understand. I'm hoping that they will place me in a long-term facility, and we go from there. Nobody's going to want to help me.
Oh, somebody, we'll get you some help. You definitely get help.
The Stevensons all have mental issues.
Here, Susan says something pretty startling about her own mother.
Oh, Mama, please. She has got to be made to understand. And if she can't, God needs to take her on to let her go, to have peace, so we can have peace and go on with our lives. I told you she wasn't there for me as a child, didn't I?
Yeah.
She always went off on vacations with her friends and left us with Daddy.
Yeah. I mean, she kept doing that even whenever we were kids, you know?
Oh, I know.
She always had to have the nicest everything, the fanciest jewelry, the biggest trips to Jerusalem, chasing Jesus around the world.
Yep. Before you left, did you tell me that they may have a placement for me?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think they're waiting
For tomorrow.
Yeah, for tomorrow, because they don't place on the weekends.
They gave me a shot that I passed for my DPT.
Uh-huh.
So that means they got something, I bet you.
Yeah, they're getting you ready for it.
And I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to have put you through all this, Shannon.
Sorry. Somebody had to go through it, right?
Somebody had to do it. And I'm glad you've been here with me. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you when you were sick. I am most probably going blind.
Yeah.
From the diabetes. They don't want to hear that either.
Yeah.
But I told them, I said I had to have my daughter read a letter to me. I can't read. I think it's all the optic nerves are inflamed. And Mama called just a little while ago. She said, tell you she loves you. And she's sorry.
Okay.
That's all she said. She asked me for your phone number, and I told her, I said, Mama, I don't even know her phone number. I can't see.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you what she said, okay?
Okay.
Not easy being me, but somebody has to do it. And I'm going to become the best nurse possible. Well, I guess they'll transfer me in an ambulance, right?
Yeah, I guess so. They have those, they're kind of like ambulances, but they're for transport.
I'm excited. I want to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here for weeks. Shannon, we're here for each other now, okay? I let you down before, but I'm not going to let you down again, okay?
I haven't had nobody here for me in a long time. I do everything I've gone through alone for the last 12 years. I've been alone in this world. That's how it is.
But it's not anymore.
I don't know that.
Well, but that's something we're going to have to learn, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be here for you. I'm sorry I failed you so bad. But I'm going to do everything in my power to help repair this relationship because I love you more than I can ever put it in words.
You destroyed me. To everybody I ever knew, you destroyed me. I'm a good person.
You're a great person.
I know that now, but I'm a good person. I'm a good friend. I'm caring. I'm kind. I wasn't before because nobody taught me how to be those things. But I'm a good ass person.
Yeah, you are.
But everybody that's ever known me before I walked away thinks I'm a monster. I'm just a bitter child. troubled child. Yeah, like, I probably was a troubled child. Look how many times I was raped. Didn't know how to process that.
And what's Renee's response to that? It didn't happen?
No, she made me and Corey strip down naked in front of her. And she beat my ass. And she told me that if she ever caught me doing that again, she would tell you. But you know what she should have told you?
She should have told me. Somebody should have told me. There's a lot of things I should have been told.
And you moved him in with us.
I had no
and then
idea.
It happened every chance he got.
You were supposed to be with my mama, Sharon.
I know. But Mimi didn't want us at her house.
That was never the arrangement or the agreement.
She didn't want us there. We were too much of a problem in her little life. When they already had kids, so what's two more? Brian's the only one that didn't hurt me.
Brian didn't?
Brian's the only one that didn't hurt me. He's the only one that ever looked out for me. He's the only one that would let me come in his room and hang out so nobody would mess with me.
I know you don't believe it, but I've loved you your whole life. Sick, uncaring way of being, but I'll have loved you from the second I knew you existed. I hope that we can move together forward. I want that more than anything. But I'm not upset with you, Shannon, okay? I welcome your help. And I don't think Christy's upset with you.
Why would anybody be upset with me? I haven't done anything wrong.
Exactly.
I haven't done anything to anybody.
All you've done is try to help me. I'm so undeserving of your love and help. Are they going to put me in a mental institution hospital?
I have no idea. Ain't nobody telling us nothing. Might be where you get some of the best help.
Yep. I'm not against it. Dr. put me in mental hospital after Michael died. They should have given me another baby. Nobody. But I had no reason not to.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
There was no reason. No reason for me not to have him.
There's no logical reason for them to give him to you.
Right.
They should have never given you another baby after the way Michael died.
After the way he died?
Yeah.
What?
Just the way he died. And they had to investigate it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, if there was an investigation, his body was in bad condition. Like, he was in bad condition.
Oh, I know.
He had puncture wounds up and down his little leg.
Yeah, that's when he had cut downs on him.
He had bruises all over his body, his genitals.
From a popcorn popper. Everything that happened to him was documented. It wasn't like it didn't happen.
What I remember, he was a real happy baby.
He was very active. And Christopher was very jealous of him. And he took that popcorn popper and popped the crap out of him right in the balls. They did cut downs on Michael.
What do you mean cut downs?
That's where the cuts and puncture wounds came from at the hospital.
They cut his clothes off of him?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have punctured his leg.
They punctured everything trying to get a vein started.
No, not that kind of puncture. Not like a puncture. No, there were puncture wounds, not injection site marks.
Yeah, no,
there were punctures up and down his right leg.
There were, where they tried to do a cut down to get a vein started. We went in there, and he was ice cold. So what if your baby's dead? Go wait in the room while we come talk to you. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being sarcastic. And I will never forget that feeling.
I'll never forget those days either.
They sent Michael home with an apnea monitor.
Why, if Michael had no pre-existing conditions?
Because he had apnea. That's why he was in the hospital. They sent him home. All the monitor did was let me know that he died at 5:12. Why did they let him go home? Why? They did tests. They had everything.
I read something where you said that because Tom had to be at work, that it would be more convenient for him to be discharged so that, because you had 2 young daughters at home to care for as well. So it would be more convenient if he was at home and they sent him home with the monitor. And
I laid him down at 5:12 and that alarm went off.
I mean, they suggested him stay in the hospital.
I know.
But
I mean,
because Tom had to work, you said it would be more convenient to send him home with the monitor because you had two small daughters at home that needed to be cared for as well.
40-something years ago, and it all seems like yesterday. What if I never remember the stuff that's happened in my life?
And you're the lucky one.
No, it would not be lucky. How can you?
Because I'd give anything not to remember.
I know.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, honey, you can ask me anything.
Did you do the same thing to Big John that you did to me to make him need you?
No, I did not. I did not make him sick.
You didn't make it worse, so he needed you more?
No, I did not. I did everything in my power to try to make his life easier. Not on me, on him. I never did anything to him to make his condition worse. And I won't ever forget Levi leaving. And the next day, it all fell apart.
What do you mean when it all fell apart?
I mean, he died.
I hate that I didn't get to tell him goodbye.
You did.
Me and John made our peace a long time ago. And John knew I had to leave.
Yep. John was never meant to be a dad.
No.
And he never wanted to be a dad. He held John Christopher out a 7th floor window by his ankle.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want him. But he would never. I trusted John with you. And there's very few men I'll say that about. But I knew that he would die to protect y'all.
Yeah, but he also beat the shit out of us.
I know.
But he was the only dad I ever had. He was a mean motherfucker. Why'd y'all take John and Levi from their mom?
We didn't. She sent them to us. She didn't want them.
We found the paperwork.
What did the paperwork say?
Didn't say that.
She contacted us and contacted me and wanted to know if the boys could come spend the summer because
then you guys said that they were scared to leave and go back.
Yeah, they didn't want to. They begged the guardian ad litem not to send them back.
John said he was never scared of his mom.
Well, he told me one thing and the guardian ad litem something else.
He was shocked when he read that.
Well, I can't change any of it.
She was just an inexperienced mom.
I didn't even know he had 2 sons. And when he asked if they could come spend the summer with us, I said, well, I don't see why not. The girls are with us. I mean, to me, that would seem kind of wrong to...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I didn't want them there, but I think things might have turned out differently for Levi had he not.
Yeah, things would have turned out a whole lot differently if I'd never married him. But I misunderstand what she said.
What?
They signed off on me.
Yeah, they signed off on you.
Saying I'm alright. I'm not alright.
Yeah.
I have dementia, number 1.
Yeah.
To me, saying they signed off on it is admitting that, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with you. No, that's wrong.
During this visit, Susan spoke on the phone with Christy, who recorded the conversation from her end. This is just one small snippet from that call.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I failed you and Michael and the kids. I wish that...
I mean, you lied to a child. You lied to about me. You said some really horrible things to her about me. You tried to manipulate a child.
I know I was wrong. I did a lot of wrong things.
When Shain returned to the hospital the next morning, she told Susan that medical staff had re-declared her incompetent, which Susan was happy to hear. By this time, they were giving Susan only minimal medication for pain and anxiety, but nowhere near as much or as often as Susan asked for it. Shain expressed concern that because no one from psych visited Susan the day before when she seemed ready and willing to talk honestly with them, that would no longer be the case, but Susan assured her she was still very much willing to talk. She did, however, seem more than happy to place the blame for her failings on others or on mental illness, acting as if she wasn't accountable for her most grievous actions. Her questions about accountability, followed by asking if her daughters had found any 3-ring binders, paint a very clear picture of how calculating Susan really is.
I want to know how a whole generation of people failed, a whole family.
Well, you're very believable, Susan. I mean, very believable.
But I don't understand. It wasn't just us, it was my whole family.
Yeah. Everyone knew what was going on, and nobody
Nobody did anything about it.
They turned their back and just swept it under the rug and left us to fend for ourselves. And
Mom never wanted kids. You know why she never wanted kids? Because she had to raise her 13 brothers and sisters.
we were left to our own survival.
And we survived.
No,
Barely.
I'll get someone to come in and talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't changed my mind. I still want help.
Okay.
I don't want to be put in a state hospital.
I don't know anything about state hospital. I do know that, like, psychiatric care and in like counseling and different classes like that I went through to learn how to deal with the different things that go on in your head and how to rationalize that that's not real, but this is.
Right.
Like, I think you would benefit from sitting through some classes and learning
How to process.
how to direct your need for being, your need to have someone to take care of.
Yeah.
They can direct that and figure out the root of that and maybe understand why it is the way it is.
Like I said, I wanted my dad to be proud of me. I wanted Benny to be like him. And on the CPR stuff, I had to be recertified for that. I don't know how to get it back.
I don't think that you want that life back. I think that you want is something new, something fresh, something not so horrific.
Yeah. Somebody explained to me how you fail a whole generation. Nobody helps. Nobody tries to find out what's going on.
Nobody.
How many different people in our family were molested by family members, and nothing was ever done about it? It was acceptable behavior.
It was a whole lot of us.
Huh?
It was a whole lot of us.
I have a lot of things I want to be able to talk about. Is it wrong to be held accountable for mental illness when you're not aware of it?
What do you mean held accountable for it?
I mean, I understand everybody's mad at me, and rightly so, but it's like being blamed for something you had no control over to start with.
You want to know if you can be held accountable for things that you weren't aware that you were doing because it's a mental health problem.
No. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm asking.
You're asking if you can be held responsible for things that you weren't aware that was going on.
Right.
That you weren't capable of understanding you were doing.
Right.
Okay. You can be held responsible for everything you do.
Right.
But there's circumstances.
Okay.
Mental health.
Did you come across any binders? 3-ring binders?
Of what?
Of everything that happened? See, Ken and Gloria made binders for information for you and Christy to have for questions when y'all are older.
Oh, really, Susan? Your trophies were put together by your attorney and the social worker responsible for handing you a second adopted baby after the suspicious death of the first one?
The thing that I've always had on my side, Shannon, was the truth. It never changed because it was truth.
Yeah.
The judge said that.
Her story never changed? Anyone who believes that should go back and listen to part 1 and 2.
I was the first baby to quit breathing in your care. I'm the first baby on record that you gave CPR to bring back. Then Julie Bates was the second baby that quit breathing in your care. She was 7 months old. You had to use CPR to bring her back.
She had reflux, came out her nose.
Quick interjection. No, she didn't. Shain and I spoke with Julie's mother, Jan Bates, back in September, and Jan confirmed that Julie had no health problems before or after she stopped breathing in Susan's care in 1985. Doctors were never able to find a reason that Julie had stopped breathing. The story of Julie's reflux causing respiratory failure is Susan's invention. In this clip, Shain explains to Susan why people were suspicious of her potential involvement in her infant son's deaths. A couple minutes in, Susan essentially admits to harming someone in the past for attention and to make her EMT father proud of her.
And then there was Michael. Michael quit breathing 2 times prior to his death. You did CPR.
In the hospital.
You did CPR to bring him back those 2 times. The 3rd time you tried CPR, he didn't come back.
Right.
Kevin quit breathing in your care. You did CPR, but Kevin never came back. That is 6 times total that you gave CPR to a baby. You know how that looks, right?
Yeah, I know how it looks.
And you can't really blame people for questioning it when it looks like that. Not to mention that we got Michael when he was 7 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 months to the day, Michael was dead. And then 9 months later, we get Kevin at 2 months old. 4 days shy of 2 months, he's dead.
I did everything I could. I don't understand what more I could have done to try to save him. So it's like nobody's going to want to even try to help me because they think I've made all this shit up. And I don't have that kind of imagination. I'm sorry.
Do you know that we can't find a picture of Kevin anywhere?
I know. Tom I had very few pictures of Michael or Kevin.
And yes, I did find the binder. I do have the binder.
There were supposed to be 3 of them.
There was just the one.
One?
There was just one. But we made a copy. I have my own.
I know that I would never, ever intentionally hurt anybody ever again. I know that.
Ever again?
Ever. To try to draw attention.
Yeah.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
Like I said, all I ever wanted was my daddy to be proud of me.
Yeah.
For my kids to be proud of me. To know that they were loved. Wanted.
Immediately after that, Susan said the following to Christy during a phone call.
I just want to apologize again. I want to go forward. I want to be able to heal. I want to be able to work with me and you and Shannon before Mama is brought into anything. Does that make sense? I have issues that I need to figure out to try to get answers to before I can bring her issues into it. Does that make sense? No, I'm not wanting to keep any information. I want to be forthcoming, open. My life is an open book. I failed y'all in so many ways. Mental illness is so real. It destroyed a whole generation of people. And nobody did anything about it. I don't know what all went wrong in my life, Christy. I'm going to try to fix it as much as it can be fixed. But I want you to know I love you. I love Shannon. And I need all of you.
Many experts, including noted international expert on factitious disorders, Dr. Mark Feldman, don't consider Munchausen and Munchausen by proxy mental illnesses, but a crime. Medical child abuse is just another form of child abuse. Susan's right about one thing, though. Her life certainly is an open book. In the next clip, Shain talks about how Susan's meddling caused her to lose an important friendship.
Yesterday when I left here, I got in the parking lot, was sitting there just kind of decompressing, and I got a message on my phone from Facebook. Somebody I didn't think I'd ever hear from again. Rachel.
Oh, how is Rachel? I haven't seen her in years.
She's doing really good.
She used to come by the house.
Christy messaged her for me whenever I first came down. She didn't reply, and I told Christy, I said, so just give her a little while. So when she's ready, she'll speak.
We're all family.
And she messaged me last night. We talked for a very long time. Just goes to show you another thing that you took from me is her. You told her that I never wanted to talk to her again and I didn't want anything to do with her. So she quit reaching out to me. She was my best friend. She's the first real friend I ever had. She meant the world to me. Losing her hurt really bad.
Honey, I can't change any of it. I can't make it up to you.
Rachel just was like, why didn't you ever talk to me? Why didn't you? I told her that I wasn't allowed to talk to her about that. So we weren't allowed to talk about things. And she said,
I am now.
But she said, but Shannon, it was me. You could have told me anything. So no, I couldn't have. Nobody believed me anyway. Nobody ever believed me.
I ruined so many lives. All with good intentions.
Here, Shain talks about how Susan's abusive treatment made relationships difficult for her.
I didn't know how to be loved. I don't understand love. The one person that was supposed to love and protect me didn't. So how can anybody else love me? There must be something wrong with me for me to be so unwanted.
You were never unwanted.
And that's why I've been alone for so long. I haven't been in a relationship in over 3 years. Because I can't put this on anyone else ever again. I wanted so much for my life. And I never had the chance to get it.
But it's not too late, Shannon.
It's way too late.
No, it's not.
I wanted kids. I wanted a family. I wanted somebody that would love me.
I'm 42 years too late, but I'm here. I'm here now.
Later, during the same conversation, Susan reminisced about an incident she said happened involving Shain, but it stood out to me because she actually testified at her murder trial in 1986 to a nearly identical incident that she said involved Michael, using it as the reason he was covered in multiple bruises when he died.
You love to be free, crawl around the front yard, and you climbed over and you sat down on the stairs, and Christy had kicked the soccer ball, and it knocked you back into the step.
Susan then made a startling claim about Kevin's death.
You know the police never even questioned Kevin's death? And when I came downstairs that morning,
I have a recording of them saying he was suffocated.
That he was suffocated?
That he was suffocated.
Yeah. The little boy that spent the night smothered him. Y'all, there's a lot that happened that y'all don't know.
During the conversation in the hospital, Shain continued flipping through the documentation she brought with her, asking Susan about some of the information contained within. Susan frequently couldn't come up with answers to Shain's questions and instead redirected the conversation with word salad or vaguely related tangents.
Says here, 6 months old, she would not move, kick, cry, or turn over, and weighed 6 pounds. But these are my 6-month-old pictures. I am crawling.
See? Please, I can't see, but can I see? You were so dainty, so tiny.
Why did you say I couldn't do anything?
It's not that you couldn't. You were normally too weak or too sick.
But I'm crawling and standing and laughing and smiling and happy, and
you were
way more than 6 pounds.
Who is? I think that's Kevin.
No, that's me.
You and Christy?
That's me and Christy.
At some point during her hospitalization, Susan had the following telephone conversation with Christy, who again recorded it from her end, which she had learned to do for her own protection.
I can get a therapist and we can sit down and try and talk through these issues, but they'll have to be talked through, and I will not be silenced anymore.
I don't want you to be silenced.
Well, it's hard to believe that whenever I've been told to shut up for 43 years and not talk about it. Don't talk about it. Don't do what's right, or you're going to be homeless, or I'm going to kick you out of my life, or that's all that's ever happened. And somehow, some way, I have managed to crawl out of that and become a good mother.
You are a great mother and a great person. You have taken excellent care of me, despite me being very undeserving. And I'm sorry that my whole parentage line messed up. But I know where a lot of it came from now.
Where?
From why my need to have, or feel like I needed to have little boys because you don't love little girls, because that's the way I was treated as a child. I also saw a psychiatrist who helped me work through that.
Right, but your family didn't love little boys either. Your mother used to dress Gene like a little girl and humiliate him and stick him in the front yard.
Christy, that's what I just said, honey.
Am I wrong, or was that the exact opposite of what she just said? The call continued.
I didn't understand any of that growing up. I love you, and I can't undo anything that I've done. I wish I could go back to 2 weeks ago. But I wasn't in my right mind even then. I need help.
If this was just a case of dementia, it would be one thing. But the part that everybody has a hard time with is whenever you're yourself, because of how mean you are. If you took all of that off the table and it was just you're somebody's mom and you have dementia, that would be different. But there's so much more that comes along with it.
Can we work on that?
I've already said yes.
Please don't give up on me, Christy. You're all I have. I love you. I can't say it enough. I need long-term care. I don't have any place to go, and I don't know what to do.
There's nothing you can do right now. It's a waiting game right now. This is something that's not going to be fixed overnight. But going forward, the best way for everything to be shown that things are moving in the right direction is everybody to be honest and to stop manipulating and to treat people with common decency.
I agree. I agree with you 100%, and I hope that you'll work with me.
Well, the next time you speak to your mother, you need to explain to her that this is not me, and it hasn't been me the whole time. And if she wants to go, that's fine. I promise you she can go. I'm not trying to keep her here. She is my grandmother, though, and I love her. And I don't want anything to happen to her. And nobody else wants to take care of her either. Jean doesn't want her there. Renee doesn't want her there. So if she would like to live out the rest of her life in peace, I'm all for that. I'm down. But I will not be treated like I'm the one that did something wrong.
You didn't. It was me.
Shain captured a couple hours of uneventful audio on March 29th. One part that really stood out was a conversation Shain had with Susan's placement caseworker, who was working hard to find somewhere for Susan to go for rehab or some other kind of long-term placement. The caseworker told Susan and Shain that she had received answers from next to none of the many facilities she had reached out to statewide. Afterward, Shain had a private conversation with the caseworker, who told her in a nutshell that the most likely reason they were having such trouble placing Susan was that none of the facilities wanted to deal with her problematic history and behaviors. Toward the end of the recording, a nurse came into Susan's room to tell her that no one from the psych department would be coming to speak with her because they had already signed off on her. Shain, who had spent days trying to get someone from psych to listen to Susan confess the way she had to Shain, reached her breaking point.
So what does that mean?
It means they're not going to help you in psych. It means all the stuff that you have done, that you're ready to talk about, that they don't give two shits about. So they're not going to send anybody down here to talk to you because they've signed off on you because you're that good.
I'm that good.
You're that good. Your entire life, you've been that good at manipulating everybody into believing that you're not. this person that you were to us. And now they've signed off on you, and now nobody's going to help you with those problems. And I've been trying my best for the last, I don't know how long, week to get psyched down here to talk to you about these problems, so that somehow you could get some help for this problem, this stuff you've done. But they're not gonna, they've signed off on you. You've convinced them that you were perfectly fine, that you're not this person that you were to us. So I don't know what else to do, and I can't take anymore. I can't do it anymore. I don't know where they're gonna put you. They're having a hard time placing you because of all your issues. They can't find anybody to take you right now. I don't know what else to do to help you. I don't know what to do. I've done all I can. I don't know what else to do. Nobody else will come up here. I'm the only one that's come up here and taken care of you while you've been up here. I'm the only one up here trying to get you any kind of psych help. And if they've signed off on you, then I don't know what else I can do.
I didn't ask them to sign off.
No, but
I asked them.
You're that convincing.
But I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything.
Whether you try or not, you did.
I know I made mistakes in a lot of things, but I don't know what to do.
Tell the truth.
I'm telling the truth.
Tell her the truth. She'll get psyched down here if she hears it.
What if I need to tell her?
Tell her what you've done to me. Tell her what you did to me to make me need you my whole life.
I made you sick. I was not sick.
She's Munchausen by proxy. This has been going on since the day I was born. I'm 41 years old. I'm big enough now where she can't hurt me. But she's
not going to do anything. I made all these mistakes. I'm wanting help. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything.
Shain made her last visit to Susan on March 30th.
I'm going back to Virginia today, and this will be the last time you see me.
Why?
Because I've tried to suck back what you've done to me. I've tried to make it okay somehow. Like maybe you went through something in your life that caused you to do the things you've done. And there's nothing in my mind that you can say that can justify what you've done to me and what you've done to my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, well, they're trying to get me into child mental health. I just found out. They just
well, a psych ward is the best place for you because, let's face it, well, you're 62 now. There's really no helping you now. There's no correcting the behavior. There's no making it better anymore. There's no way you have another chance to hurt another child.
I'm not wanting a chance to hurt a child or an adult or anybody.
I know, and now you will not have the chance. Had you got the help you needed back when you were arrested for Michael and Kevin, had you got the help then, maybe there would have been a chance. But you destroyed every possibility I had in life. You destroyed everything I could have ever been. I thought that I had dealt with the majority of it. I thought that I had moved past it and moved forward from it, and it still hurts because I'm 41 years old and I have nothing to show for it because all I've ever done has been preparing to die. I've never felt loved or cared about in my entire life. Chrissy keeps telling me, well, you've got family now. Well, that's funny. I haven't had family in over 12 years. Haven't had anybody to give a shit about me in a long time. And this is all you're doing. Because you're that good at manipulating people against other people. I lost my grandparents. I lost my brothers. I lost my sister. I lost anybody that I ever knew growing up. I lost them all because of the things you said about me. And right now I'm so lost and confused and hurt. I don't even know which direction to go when I get in my car. I just want to get in my car and drive until there's nowhere else to drive. I don't have any purpose. I have nothing. I have no family. I have nothing. Nobody to miss me when I'm gone. And that's because of you. You hurt me in a way that a mother should never hurt her daughter. You were supposed to love me and care for me and protect me. And those are the three things you never did. And it messed me up. I have come up here and I've cared for you and I've tried to get you some help. Nobody's helping you. I can't do any more and this is killing me.
Well, like I said, the doctor was just in here, and Katala Mental Health is hopefully going to be able to help. And yes, I do want help. It's not too late for help.
But you're not even sorry.
I am.
You know how to be sorry.
Okay, Shannon, if you don't want to hear what I have to say, why? I mean,
because I need you to hear what I have to say.
I am listening to you.
You took a perfectly healthy baby girl and turned her into someone who was sick every day of her life, who had no hopes, no dreams, no potential. You were supposed to be my mom.
Oh, I do want help.
Well, I hope you get it.
I hope I do too.
I hope you get it.
I hope everybody gets the help that we need. Even though nobody wants to be involved anymore, I do. I still love all of y'all. Y'all are still my children, even though I failed you. I can't change any of that. I can't go back and make it right. But it's like, no matter what I say or I do, it just makes everything worse. And I didn't think that was possible for it to get any worse.
We just wanted honesty from you.
Hey, Shannon, I'm being honest.
It's not a coincidence that 4 babies stopped breathing in your care. Be honest about that.
I'm being honest about it.
Like, what did I do at 7 months old to make you want to smother me?
Nobody tried to smother you.
Like, how disposable am I? I mean, I'm that disposable that you can just suffocate me. Another baby will come along.
Nobody tried to suffocate you, Shannon.
You didn't want me. Tom didn't want me. Doug didn't want me. John damn sure didn't want me. Nobody ever wanted me. That's why it was so easy for me to be sick all the time. Let's see how sick we could get Shannon before she dies. And then we'll get her out of everybody's hair, right? And we'll have to deal with her anymore.
No, it's not right. And it's not true.
One less mouth to feed,
nothing
right?
I can say that's going to change anything in your mind or your opinion of any of this. Because you have your mind made up that you were unwanted. Not true.
You told me that.
What?
You told me Doug raped you and you never wanted me. But you made sure you let me know how much you wanted Christy. That's like what I'm saying. I can't wait for the memories to be able to go away. Can't wait till the day I can't remember anymore. Because this is not a life to remember. I'm going back to Virginia. I really hope you get the help that you need. I really do, because somebody needs to help you.
Thank you. I mean that, that's not a sarcastic thank you. That is a sincere from the bottom of what broken, pieced together heart I have that I mean sincerely. Thank you. Because you have tried to get me help. I don't know why they want help. I have asked if there's a hospital, if the hospital in Charleston has a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but they don't know if I can be seen there, even though they see me for my other medical problems. All I can do is try. That's all I've been doing since I've been up here, is trying to get cooperation from at least one person up here.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you coming here. I appreciate all that you've done to help me, to try to get me help. But it's hard to get help when everything's working against you for reasons unknown. I'm not trying to say this didn't happen, that didn't happen. I made a lot of mistakes, and I can't change them. I can't go back, but I can make sure it doesn't happen anymore. I can't undo the damage that's been done. I wish I could.
Me too. I wish I would have had the chance like every other kid. Instead, I live paycheck to paycheck, barely making it. Don't know when I'm gonna eat next most of the time because I can't take care of myself because I was never given the skills to take care of myself. But I'm working on that every day.
Yeah, you are. You're doing a great job at it. You're a survivor.
Yeah, I had to be.
Yeah. We did what we had to do to survive. And I failed a lot of people in the process. But it's like nothing I do is going to be enough to make any of it any better. I have not called anybody. I have not bothered anybody. I have commuted my ass right here, hoping that they will send somebody for me to talk to, but they don't think I need to talk to anybody. Well, I'm sorry. They're wrong. Will you at least let me know that you get back there okay?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
I do care.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to hear it, but I do care.
It's just funny to hear you say you care when you haven't for so long, so you don't know what it feels like to be completely and utterly alone in the world. You could drop dead and no one would notice. So for somebody to say, oh, I care, or you got family, is more or less a joke when it comes to what I've been through. I had to go. I had to get on the road. Take care of yourself.
Not everyone gets the opportunity to look their lifelong abuser in the eye and tell them exactly how they feel. And Shain not only had that opportunity, but seized it with both hands. I know how much it cost her, and I'm proud of her beyond words for everything she's conquered since she began the journey of telling her story. I'll pause here for one final sponsor break. It took a few weeks to finish going through the months of audio recordings Shain and Christy gave me, and many times I found myself seeing red during the process. Susan's manipulative powers were on full display throughout these recordings. Even when she apologized, begged for forgiveness, and agreed to do whatever her daughters asked, in my opinion, she was just telling them what they wanted to hear to ensure they didn't shut her out or cut her off. Once they did cut contact with her after her brother Gene sprung her from long-term care, her tune changed significantly. While I listened to the recordings, I also found it infuriating the way Susan flat out refused to answer when confronted with something she couldn't refute, not to mention the way she constantly twisted every conversation about the harm she caused to be about her and how much she needed help. Well, not anymore. Now the conversation is about Shain and about Michael, Kevin, Christy, John Christopher, Levi, KL, Aaron, BG, Bug, and every other child Susan's actions have affected. The only conversation that still needs to center around Susan is about holding her accountable for those actions. I want to mention that Shain and Christy did not make these recordings with the intention of making them public. Only after Shain and I had talked for months did she give me access to the audio files, and Christy provided me with hers even after that. The recordings were not taken to humiliate Susan, but rather to preserve what she said as evidence amidst her ever-changing stories, and to protect the rest of the family from her allegations of abuse and other misdeeds. The recordings have already accomplished something very important. Earlier this year, when Christy and Jamie were begging DSS to help KL, Christy let KL's social worker hear the recording in which Susan admitted to making Shain sick as a child. That action was very likely instrumental in KL's removal from Susan's custody. The social worker expressed her remorse that no one ever helped Susan's children and told Christy that she would play the recordings for her supervisor. By the way, it's also worth mentioning that there is no statute of limitations on crime in South Carolina. Isn't that interesting? At this point, I will not confirm or deny that an investigation may be ongoing into Susan's decades-long crime spree. All I'm saying is that criminal charges are a legal possibility, and as far as I'm concerned, they'd be well deserved. Remember Dr. Tuttle, the family doctor who wrote a letter in 1997 refuting Shain's claims of abuse, and who refused to report the allegations to DSS despite being a mandatory reporter? When another patient saw Dr. Tuttle in June of 2022 and told him that Susan had made Shain sick for 28 years, Dr. Tuttle replied, "Well, she had me fooled." Apparently, he's still Susan's family doctor because the witness saw Susan in his office within the past few months. Reportedly, Susan looks rather stressed, and the witness claims that Dr. Tuttle is running scared after his failure to do his duty as a mandatory reporter was publicly exposed. Since this miniseries began, many of Susan's friends and acquaintances have apparently begun seeing her for what she really is. Susan evidently posted on Facebook, "What's on my mind? Only thing that I can think of. I am so sick and tired of people telling me what my daughters are up to. I don't care. This is nothing new. Shannon or Shain has been trying to destroy me since she was 17 years old. None of this surprised me. The fact that some of my so-called friends believe everything that she says, you were never my friends to start with. You know me. God knows me. And that's all that matters to me. Think what you want to, but don't try to drag me down with you. My daughter Christy joined ranks with Shannon because their plan to kill me didn't work. Please feel free to delete yourself before I delete you." When asked about their plan to kill her, Susan told a former friend that her daughters called in hospice care that she didn't need. 2 months later, she said, she was in a coma, which she came out of by the grace of God and ran to my mom's. Just a side note, at what point was Susan in a coma? When she was at home making the so-called deathbed confessions you heard here? Although Susan slept a lot and didn't eat for a few days prior to going briefly to respite care in February, there was no coma involved. Before she escaped, Susan told her former friend, she couldn't even sit up, let alone get up. Amazing how she was able to make her courageous escape in that condition, huh? Good thing video evidence of that escape exists for future generations to marvel over. Susan claims there is an extensive paper trail proving her children were so infuriated that she didn't die that they stole her valuables and her SSDI payments and paid their bills using her checking account. Here's a potentially unrelated fact for you. Along with gaslighting, a term that many are familiar with, another toxic behavior of narcissistic people is deflection. Narcissistic deflection occurs when the narcissist flips the script on you during an argument by going into attack mode, or draws attention away from negative accusations against themselves by making horrible and usually false allegations against the person who dared point a finger at them. Just thought I'd throw that out there. If Susan is currently worried, in my humble opinion, good. After everything she's been accused of doing and causing, even if by some miracle she's truly innocent, there's no arguing the fact that she should be investigated for all of it. Too many lives have been affected for all of this to blow over without a closer look. I did not create this miniseries to propagate baseless accusations out of nowhere against an innocent 62-year-old South Carolina woman. I created this miniseries to provide evidence of the allegations, to give voices to her many alleged victims, including some who could not speak for themselves, and to seek justice for the victims and survivors of her 40-plus years of alleged abusive, possibly even murderous behavior. Huge thank you to Shain, Christy, Aaron, and everyone who participated in the making of this miniseries. I know the toll it's taken and the courage you had to summon to speak out, and I admire, love, and appreciate you more than I could ever tell you. This is not the end of the story of the Kendzia children, nor is it the end of my involvement in telling it. Stay tuned. I'll keep you updated on Facebook on further developments. Baby Kevin's headstone should be ready to place on his grave sometime next summer, and I'll be sure to update you on that as well. Giant thanks to Blake from R.W. Baker & Company Funeral Home and Crematory in Suffolk, Virginia, who has given us a significant discount on the stone and has generously offered to donate the cost of transporting and installing the monument. Thank you all for listening. My plan now is to return to my weekly format and continue giving voices to more victims of child abuse who were silenced by their parents, guardians, and caretakers. Join me next time for another story. If you like the show, please follow or subscribe to Suffer the Little Children on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Spreaker, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast listening app. and please leave me a 5-star rating and a positive review on your favorite podcast platform. Visit the website at sufferthelittlecHildrenpod.com. To help support the show, you can visit patreon.com/stlcpod or ko-fi.com/stlcpod. Follow the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and Pinterest at Suffer the Little Children Pod, and on Twitter and TikTok at STLCpod. View photos related to today's episode on Facebook. For more stories like the one you heard today, visit sufferthelittlechildrenblog.com. This podcast is researched, written, hosted, edited, and produced by Lane. All music for the show is licensed from audiojungle.net. For more information about preventing or reporting child abuse, visit childhelp.org or call your area's child abuse hotline. And remember, if you see something, say something.